If you've been tracking the gaming world over the last 48 hours, you know that the air feels a little different right now. It's quiet, maybe a little too quiet. It feels like the calm before a catastrophic storm. We just crossed the threshold of June 30th, which marks the end of Microsoft's fiscal year, and historically, that is when the corporate scythe comes out. But what we're looking at right now, what's being whispered in the dark corners of the industry and reported by the most credible journalists in the business, this is not just standard corporate restructuring. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier put it in pretty chilling terms. He warned that the coming Monday, July 6th, is going to be a very dark day for Xbox. Many are calling it a bloodbath. And look, I know what you're going to say. Listen, we hear bloodbath every 6 months about this industry. We've seen thousands of layoffs last year. We saw Arkane Austin closed. But what's scheduled to drop on Monday, or maybe even today, they like to do these things on Friday afternoon, right before a holiday too. That'll be great for everybody. This was described by Duke Nukem co-creator George Brossard as potentially the largest single layoff event in video game history. He literally compared the scale of what is coming to the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs. He said Xbox is about to become supremely unpopular for a very long time, and the devastation is going to reverberate across the entire medium. It kind of feels like PlayStation and Xbox are competing for who can be disliked the most right now, with the choice to ditch physical getting PlayStation firmly roasted daily and even having people cancel their PS Plus subscriptions. Today, while we all hold our breath and wait, we're going to try to separate panic from reality. We're going to look at the conflicting reports, the specific studios fighting for survival, the sudden fate of Marvel's Blade, and the cold corporate math driving this collapse. Because the truth is, the Xbox acquisition dream, well, it didn't just stall. It's actively being dismantled. Now, if you're watching this later and you like my content, you want to be here for the discussions, make sure you hit subscribe and consider hitting the like button. If you want to get into my extra content as well as my members-only Discord, consider clicking join, and for $5 a month, you can join the community. All right, let's start with the immediate panic that set the internet on fire yesterday and is sort of calmed down today, because we need to clear the air. A report started circulating that the game business, and they were claiming that Obsidian Entertainment, the team behind Fallout New Vegas, Pillars of Eternity, and Grounded, well, they were deep in emergency negotiations with Microsoft to avoid being shut down completely. The internet instantly went into full-blown meltdown panic, and understandably, Obsidian, if they're not safe, well then who is? We do know that Avowed and The Outer Worlds 2 reportedly missed their internal commercial targets last year. The only massive win they've had recently was Grounded 2, which was a hit but much smaller and cheaper project. So the fear was real and honestly at some level justified given how many studios are at risk and how many studios are stacking up on that list. But the story's not complete, and there's even more that just developed this morning, not from Jason Schreier, but from another insider. So Jason Schreier stepped in almost immediately and tried to calm down the panic. He explicitly claimed that the report regarding Obsidian was not correct. Obsidian was not in negotiations to avoid being shut down. Xbox has decided to keep them. According to Jordan Midler over at VGC, the word behind the scenes is that Obsidian is actually in the early stages of a brand new Fallout project, and we know Microsoft is desperate to get new Fallout games out into the wild because the IP is hitting a peak with a very, very good show. But Andy Robinson from VGC pushed back on the notion that Chris Dring of the game business just made this up about Obsidian. And just this morning, Jeff Grubb confirmed that internally, Obsidian was up for consideration of either being sold or closed, and that the decisions being made are happening so fast, that's why we're getting conflicting reports. One day, somebody's on the chopping block, the next day, they're safe. So it's very easy for these things to happen. We're also hearing from Windows Central's Jez Corden that they're basically attempting to sell off a lot of these studios. Some of these studios hopefully already have deals, and if they don't, we're going to have to find out what happens likely today. So for now, we can maybe have a sigh of relief about Obsidian. They are safe with a massive asterisk next to their name, since apparently some of these decisions are being made literally every day and then switching or reversing. Schreier didn't say the danger wasn't real, however. In the exact same breath, while saving Obsidian from the rumor mill, he reiterated the picture will be very clear on Monday because a bloodbath is coming. Obsidian might be safe, but a line has been drawn in the sand. If you're a studio making massive, expensive, experimental RPGs or passion projects that don't guarantee billions of dollars in return, well, your head is on the proverbial chopping block. So, who isn't safe? Well, let's look at the report that we've been hearing over the transpiring days. According to this reporting, Microsoft is currently looking at a list of 5 specific studios to either severely downsize, shut down, or sell off to outside investors if they can find buyers. We're talking about Compulsion Games, Double Fine, Ninja Theory, Undead Labs, and most shockingly and most recently, Arkane Lyon, the team behind Blade. Let that sink in for a second. Arkane Lyon, the creators of Dishonored and Deathloop, one of the most critically acclaimed prestigious developers that they got in the Bethesda ZeniMax umbrella. Just last year, Microsoft murdered the sister studio, Arkane Austin, after the Redfall disaster, which was at some level understandable. At the time, Lyon's head director, Dinga Bagapa, or I'm not sure how to say that, but that's what I'm going to read there, publicly begged executives to remember that video games are a human artistic industry, not a Darwinist jungle. Well, guess what? The corporate jungle may have caught up with Arkane Lyon. The report states that Microsoft is seriously considering canceling Marvel's Blade and closing the studio. Marvel's Blade, their biggest, most high-profile licensed superhero game. It was announced at the end of 2023. We haven't seen a single frame of gameplay over 2 years. And according to Jeff Grubb, quote, Blade sounds like it was pretty far along. They were going to begin debuting it some way later this year and maybe even release it next year. It sounds like it needed more time and they just didn't want to pay for that. And I think that's really how a lot of this ends up shaking out. Microsoft looks at the math and says, we're pulling the plug simply because time to ship and potential profit just doesn't add up for them. And it's already happening to external projects too. Look at IO Interactive. Xbox just pulled funding on their upcoming fantasy game, forcing the Hitman studio to downsize and lay people off. Compulsion Games has reportedly already given their employees explicit permission to start polishing their resumes and openly look for new jobs because they know the axe is falling next week. This is not a rumor anymore. This is a coordinated, pre-planned execution. And how did we get here? How does a $1 trillion company go from bragging on a stage at the Xbox Game Showcase just weeks ago to preparing to butcher its own developers? It all traces back to the new leadership. Back on June 10th, the new CEO of Xbox, Asha Sharma, sent out an internal memo that essentially signaled the end of an era. She bluntly wrote, quote, we have ourselves overextended. We have found ourselves overextended. Going forward, this cannot continue. Let's just translate the corporate speak into plain English. The spending spree is over, and the bill is due. Over the past 5 years, Microsoft poured over $20 billion into acquiring non-Activision studios. $20 billion. They bought up Ninja Theory, Double Fine, Obsidian, Compulsion, ZeniMax, and Arkane. They told us, the gamers, they told us, the developers, they told everybody, don't worry about the sales metrics anymore, just make art for Game Pass. We have infinite money. Well, a lot of their fans said that too. But look at the financial reality that Asha Sharma is looking at right now. Despite spending $20 billion on those studios, Xbox's annual hardware and content revenue actually slid by nearly $500 million over the same period. Game Pass growth hit a brick wall. The hardware isn't selling. You can't spend $20 billion to watch your revenue go backward without the board of directors demanding heads on a spike. And if you want to know how the very top of Microsoft feels about this, we'll look no further than Satya Nadella's recent appearance on the Hard Fork podcast. When he was asked about the Xbox business, he literally chuckled and said that right now there's more money being made off Xbox games on YouTube than at Microsoft itself. Think about how insulting and how terrifying that actually is if you're working at one of their developers right now. If you're working at Ninja Theory, if you're working at Arkane. The CEO of the parent company is treating your life's work like a punchline on a tech podcast. He basically admitted that Microsoft is tired of subsidizing the fun. They are signaling a shift in the strategy. They don't want mid-tier artistic projects anymore. They don't want a Hellblade or a Psychonauts or a South of Midnight. They want massive, guaranteed, automated cash machines. They want Fallout, Call of Duty, Halo, and everything else, well, anything smaller, it's just collateral damage. And the catch-22 here is expensive games like Blade could get you a lot of sales, as well as just potentially good eyes on your brand and your developing studios, but that's under threat because of how big the budget is. So they don't want small games due to less profit, but big budget titles also have that big budget attached to them, and that's the problem that they're facing. Games are expensive to make, and they only want the big ones, but they also don't like spending all that money. We're hearing that a lot of the shifts here, Jez Corden reported that some of this downsizing and restructuring is literally to funnel more money to the studios that are making a lot of the games like Halo and others. The sheer corporate hypocrisy of this can be very infuriating. Weeks ago, they put on a flashy showcase. They trot out games, studios, trailers. They bring in millions of views and hype for the Xbox brand. They use them to pump the stock price, get the community excited, and then the entire time behind closed doors, those exact same developers were being sized up for the slaughter. We're looking at thousands of jobs likely vanishing over the weekend. Not just these 5 studios, but sweeping cuts across Bethesda, Blizzard, sales, marketing teams, all of it. And we know how this goes. The executives who made these terrible structural decisions, the ones who pushed the gold fever acquisition strategy, well, they're going to keep their bonuses and retire with lots of money, while the people who actually make the things we love pay the ultimate price for executive incompetence. Monday, July 6th, is going to change the landscape of the gaming history probably forever. It is going to be a dark day for Xbox, a tragic day for hundreds of families, and a massive wake-up call for anyone who still believes in the corporate fairy tale of video game consolidation. We're going to be tracking this every single second that it develops, probably again over the weekend. We'll do our best to cover this, as we also spent 2 days covering the Sony situation with PlayStation ending physical. How are you feeling about this? Are you worried about Blade? Do you think Microsoft can recover the trust of the gaming community after this weekend? Well, let me know in the comments, and be sure to come to a live stream. Which many of you are here right now. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And apparently, Haseo is going to start off everything today completely on his own. Han shot first, and so did you 4 different times. Haseo, I'm just going to give you credit for a 20 bomb. You did 4 5 bombs, so we're just going to do that. You are absolutely incredible. Thank you, sir. And happy 4th of July to everybody. I need to remember to not have my Twitch dashboard running at the same time as those trailers. I think it's making the trailers act up. I think they're like skipping and hitching, because I think the dashboard of Twitch is causing an issue. Like, I'm playing both videos at once. I think it's just causing an issue. BGS is not on the block because they make Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. Well, they're on the block for downsizing, though. Almost assuredly, I don't think anybody's going to dodge that. Jerry with a 5 bomb on this fine Friday. Guys, as a reminder, no stream tomorrow night. Tomorrow's the 4th of July, so if you guys manage to pull this off today, we'll be doing a stream tonight. And thank you so much for your Prime sub. Cardoc Ren over there on Purple, good morning. The last Boy Scout says, good morning. Hope you've had a blessed day. Thank you. And DK Bager with a single gets us within 10 of 400. Thank you so much. Maybe tempting somebody to do the 10 bomb. And happy 4th of July to everybody. And a 20 bomb comes in from Terminal Stupidities. Like, we're not going to just have one person doing a 20 bomb today. And as a reminder, guys, you know I always say this. If you're going to be celebrating this weekend, please do it safely. Get Uber or Lyft installed on your phone ahead of time. That way, when it's time to go home, if you need somebody to come pick you up, you've already got the app installed. Legend Status with 49 months. Thank you so much. I got a good feeling we're hitting the Madam Gold today, says Skillful. Fallout IP belongs to Microsoft. They can assign it to whoever. Well, the what we're hearing is that Obsidian is working on something for Fallout. That comes from one of the guys over there at VGC. 12 euro from Mateo. I think that's how I'm supposed to say that. That Bloodbath you're referring to. PlayStation shut down 7 studios and laid off thousands of employees. How are all the devs feeling at present? I mean, yeah, if you want to do whataboutisms with Sony, thanks for the 12 euro. I've already covered that and talked about how it was short-sighted to close Bluepoint. The history of Bungie and what they did to that game has nothing to do with Sony, so that's a terrible comparison. And many of the studios that PlayStation shut down starting in 2020 to now, some of them were like 10-person mobile teams or VR teams. So it's not an equivalency to what's about to happen. But thanks for the €12 for your bad faith whataboutism. I spent 2 days taking Sony to the cleaners for their choice on physical. Like, everybody's getting their due. You know what I mean? You know what people didn't do the entire time we were covering the PlayStation situation? They didn't give me money to complain about Xbox. It's weird how that happens whenever I have bad news about Xbox. It's criminal that we didn't get a Fallout remaster while the show was out. I honestly don't think they expected the show to be as popular and to do as well as it did. Video game TV shows can be hit or miss. They can be hit or miss. What about Naughty Dog? That has nothing to do with the conversation. What about Naughty Dog? They're not shutting down or getting laid off. That has nothing to do with today's conversation. It's weird that we spent 2 entire days almost entirely fixating on PlayStation and what they're doing to physical and how it's bad and how we need to be digitally protected with our rights, and nobody came in insisting on talking about Xbox. But we are how many minutes now since my open? We're 5 minutes out of my monologue, and you guys want to bring up PlayStation because we know today is likely the day and the weekend that Xbox has the biggest layoff in history. And you guys want to invoke 5 minutes in, you want to invoke PlayStation? You're just embarrassing yourselves. We went after PlayStation for 2 straight days. And that entire time I didn't have people doing this. But we can't even get 5 minutes into an Xbox show. You know what I mean? It's remarkable. It's almost like that's part of the dialogue now. It's like Xbox, Game Pass, but Sony though. It's like that's part of their motto now, I guess, for their fans. Yes, there's a gaming roundtable today. It's on Phil. While giving studios creative freedom sounds great, the reality should have kicked in. Well, Asha inherited the same thing this is an equivalency, right? Bungie mismanages their company and spends a bunch of money terribly, and Sony inherits that and has to make a terrible decision. Asha inherited a terrible decision-making strategy of like spend, and now she's the one that has to pull the guillotine. It's like, yes, this is exactly what happens when you spend that kind of money. The bill comes due, and that's what they were doing with Xbox. They were spending through the nose for all this stuff, and I think they thought the tide was eventually going to turn. They were going to get people to either, pile on to Game Pass, I guess. Like, I don't know. We knew this day was likely going to come. I thought the layoffs initially were going to get them to like a more lean operational cost, and then they'd be okay. I mean, we heard early this year there weren't going to be layoffs at Xbox this year. Half the Xbox showcase was a lie. I think that's going to be one of the most interesting thought experiments of this. Maybe not thought experiment. It's a literal experiment. To go back and to Darren, did I thank you for 21 months? Darren, let me bump the line to 412. Thank you for 21 months. Like, we're going to have to go back and watch that showcase and see just how many studios and games were trotted out that they then, shut down, canceled, or what have you a couple of weeks later. What concerns me about Blade is right around the time the showcase was over, people started saying, oh man, why wasn't Blade there? Why wasn't Blade there? And we heard murmurings and rumors that Blade was ready. It was not ready to ship, but it was ready to show. And there were other reasons it wasn't shown. And I was like, why wouldn't you show it? And I thought, oh, maybe they're saving it for the Game Awards or something. I wonder if they didn't show it because they knew this was coming. €6 from Meta. What's about to happen? Anything official from Xbox? You're part of the rumor mill. I am simply reporting to you what reliable sources have been saying. You have Jez Corden of Windows Central, Tom Warren from The Verge, Jason Schreier from Bloomberg, all corroborating very much an approximation of what's coming. We report on these things and we cover these things. If you don't like it, I don't know, maybe you should save your money and instead of super chatting me, take up another hobby. This is literally what we do. We cover what's going on in the gaming world. This isn't some Reddit person who left a comment or some 4chan rumor. These are reliable sources that have contacts at Microsoft. We cover these things. I've done the same thing with PlayStation. When we've heard things from Schreier or Paul Tassi or others, people that have sources at Bungie or people that have sources at PlayStation, I cover those things too because they're usually pretty reliable. You know what I mean? Like the idea that like we shouldn't run this because nothing official has come from Xbox. Did you keep that same energy when we talk about all the various things with Sony? We talked about a lot with Sony, with the speculation about the PlayStation 6 and its timing with the disc announcement. We talked about the handheld. That's all stuff from insiders as well. Did you get upset about that? Did you wet your bed and super chat me when I covered that? You need to get over it. It's like you guys love Jason Schreier and you love these insiders when they have bad news about PlayStation or good news about Xbox. But it's like the minute they say something about Xbox, you're like, rumor, not true. It's just a rumor. You guys did this with exclusives going to Nintendo and PlayStation. You did it with layoffs. You did it with studio closures. This isn't the first time we've been here where we hear from these people, bad things are coming. Everybody wants to plug their ears and say, it's rumor, it's rumor, it's rumor. It's like, what do you mean? The pattern has been that these rumors and these sources, they end up being right. Almost every step of the way. People did the same thing to Sneakers SO. Earlier this year, Sneakers SO told us all this was coming. And everybody got mad at him. He's also the same one that told you all the games are going to be going to PlayStation, Nintendo, and people got mad too. 250, pretty reliable. I'll tell you what's reliable is fanboys like you wanting to give me money to, I guess, cope with what's coming. I don't keep filling my coffers, buddy. I don't care. An anonymous gifter gifted to, I'm not sure who that is. Did you just randomly do that or did you pick them on purpose? Thank you so much. Somebody named Toothpick just got a gifted member over there on Purple. Yeah, I mean, the Just for Games thing, like, you know, at this point, it's remarkable to me why anybody would cling to, well, it's not official yet, it's just a rumor. You guys have been trying to, like, lick your wounds with that cope this entire time. Every single step of the way, like, do you honestly think like the founder of Apogee is like, I heard this is going to be the biggest layoff in history, and then you have Jason Schreier saying, yeah, it's going to be pretty bad. Tom Warren from The Verge, it's going to be terrible. Jez Corden is like, yeah, they're either going to sell them or probably significantly downsize them or shut them down. Like, they're all corroborating the same information. Do you think they're all just making it up? And we're going to sail through July and everything will be fine? Like, oh yeah, nothing's going to happen? Like, are you delusional? You're giving money to somebody that you don't like. I think maybe you are. Thank you, Feed, for being here. Good to see you in the chat. Mass Produce needs to go? Why are you guys telling me to ban Mass Produce? I feel like they've been here on the regular. He said, Xbox is dead. Better off talking about things that matter. Talking about this dead company's going to do what? Yeah, Mass Produce. Listen, I know this might come as a shock to you, but you're not the main character here, and you're not in charge. So if you don't like the topic, you should just come back another day. You could go watch the literal 8 hours of footage that's on my channel right now, 2 streams in a row, largely going at PlayStation. Go watch those things. If today's so dissatisfying for you, you know, I got 8 hours of live streams having to go at PlayStation and a 10-minute upload about it. Go watch that if that's what you want to hear. I wasn't gonna beat that dead horse for a third day. Yeah, it sucks. They're not going to do physical anymore. What more is there left to say other than it sucks and that we should be better protected on digital purchases and that we should be able to get refunds? Well, I'm not going to do that for the third day in a row. We literally just got one of the most reliable insiders out there, Jason Schreier, is saying, we are going to have a better picture of what's going on come Monday. This is it. This is the weekend. This is the dark weekend that it happens, according to Schreier. €6 from Mateo says, when did Asha Sharma state only 4 games? What do you mean, when did she only say only 4 games? When we refer to just 4 games, we're referring to the Phil Spencer podcast where he said this is just 4 games. This is not a signal that everything's going. And then within 6 months, it was clear that everything was going. It was a very misleading thing for him to say. He was specifically asked about Starfield and Indiana Jones and said, these 4 games are not Starfield and Indiana Jones, and everybody ran with those headlines. And then, oh, wow, Starfield and Indiana Jones are now on PlayStation. See, this is what typically happens, okay? You guys, it's like that movie Memento, where the only way that guy can remember what's going on is he has to get tattoos and write it on his body and, like, take Polaroids. And I swear some of you guys need to do that because, like, you literally can't remember things that happen with Xbox just within the last 24 months. It's like you always have to be reminded. You have to be reminded about all of the fake and bad marketing about the Series S. You have to be reminded about the fact that we were told the Series S was going to run circles around the PlayStation 5. You have to be reminded that we were told Game Pass is profitable. You have to be reminded that we were told Game Pass was going to increase sales because one time it did, but then we found out it cannibalized sales. You have to be reminded that Phil Spencer tried to hand wave first-party games going to other platforms by only talking about how they had no plans to put Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo. You have to be reminded for the fact that when Satya Nadella and other people in the high executive levels of Microsoft started talking about the fact that they were going to start putting first-party games on other platforms, you were told by all the bleed green, super confident Xbox fanboy podcasts that it wasn't going to happen. You have to be reminded of the fact that Phil Spencer sat down in a podcast and was like, it's just 4 games. This is not a signal that everything is going. And the same day he did an interview with The Verge where he said there's nothing off the table. You have to be reminded of the fact that now that we learn from Satya himself, they've been subsidizing this entire time and not monetizing. The bill comes due, and all of us had said the ABK acquisition was going to lead to downsizing, loss of talent, and studio closures. You have to be reminded of all of that. And if somebody doesn't have the patience to do what I just did, you'll act like none of it happened. It's like if we don't constantly do this thing where we remind you people with convenient Alzheimer's that, like, these things transpired in the last 24 months. And that's why we are where we are. You're going to have to be reminded next week that, yeah, we heard about the layoffs coming. And people like you tried to hand wave it and tried to act like it wasn't going to happen because it was just a rumor. And then when it happens, you'll pretend that none of that happened and that you didn't say any of those things. You got me preaching in here. Thank you for the $10 super chat, New Soul. This notion that PlayStation is leaving their core fan base by ditching physical is not accurate because the physical version can allow the user to monetize on PlayStation games without Sony getting a dime. Same for Microsoft. Man, they just know what's coming. Can you remind us why we should care? Because if you're a gamer and you like buying games, the results of this decision and the results of what Xbox has done is less games, less studios, less things for you to purchase. Like, would you like to have a bunch of different restaurants in town or just one big one where, like, all of the food is like buffet style? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Do you just want Xbox's publishing edifice to be like Call of Duty and Minecraft? Or did you like having variety? Did you like having smaller studios creating cool little projects like, Kiln or Keeper, or larger projects that are unique like Psychonauts 2 or Hellblade 1 and 2? Like, if you're a gamer, don't you want variety in the gaming industry? Don't you want these studios to be able to create what they're creating? It's like some of you guys are like, well, I'm a gun and ball gamer and I don't care. So what does it matter to me if all these studios close down? It'll eventually come for your favorite game, whether you like it or not. None of this is good. None of this is good. What PlayStation's doing isn't good for pockets of the world that heavily rely on physical. Those gamers are basically being pushed out of the hobby. So that's bad. And then Xbox, it's bad because you're losing talent and you're losing studios. It's bad, man. This is all bad. What I find interesting is when PlayStation does stuff that's bad, I don't hold back. I don't see the dyed-in-the-wool ponies holding back. They're out there being critical of it and calling it what it is. It's like, but when Xbox steps wrong or does something bad, we got to play all these weird revisionist history games where, like, you want to act like all these things didn't happen. It's weird. It's weird energy. It's really weird energy. It's like I literally watch one side take up for themselves and get angry and push against things that they don't like. And then the other side wants to act like, yes, sir, please, sir, more, sir, thank you, sir, regardless what happens. They can price anchor Game Pass and you guys thank them for it. It's like, what the frick? A single gifted from Dryad Sons, thank you so much. And then a member renewal from Kelb. Got my Frickmas yesterday. Tell Madam and the kiddos, thanks for getting it out so fast. Hey, you are welcome. You are welcome. Thank you for ordering the coffee. That does support us. And Dryad Sons does another one. I know what you were trying to do, Dryad Sons. You got interrupted by a resub. We're 10 away from the next milestone. A super chat. Another 12 euro super chat says, new Xbox leadership. Listen and use your ears. Here in Ireland, our rivers run free and blood runs green. Supercalifragilistic Xbox Ashadocious. Man, I gotta tell you, bro, people can see what you're doing. They can see what you're doing. You're just embarrassing yourself. What do you think Asha's gonna do? So I'm assuming that you didn't like Phil and you didn't like Sarah and you didn't like the last 6 years of what they were doing. Is it safe for me to assume that since you're on the Asha train? Like, what the frick, man? Like, you're using actual money this morning to say things that are like you're going beyond silly. You know what I mean? I've done shows with King David. That guy's a character. He's all about Xbox. You're going well beyond that. You're I don't know what to even say. You're stun locking me with your absurdity. Like the people that were bleed green or whatever you're saying your blood runs green. I feel like y'all were all about Phil and Sarah. You were all about that Game Pass. You were all about the ABK deal. And now the bill's coming due and you're like, oh, but new leadership, Asha. What the heck? It's like you were cheering for somebody burning your house down and you're acting like the construction crew that's coming in to knock it all down is your savior. It doesn't make an ounce of sense. It's like, to uproarious applause, Phil was cheered for as he pushed forward this horrible idea that they were going to spend their way out of trouble. Burns everything, lights it all on fire, and then when he walks away, Asha comes in with the construction crew to tear it all down, and you're like, here's our savior, a bulldozer. What? A 10 bomb from Haseo. Haseo, you are done. Stop. No more. Let everybody else do it. You've done enough. That's 30 members from you alone today, Haseo. All done, sir. You need to let other people carry the gifted member thing today. $8 from Soy. The parasocial relationship with Asha Sharma is out of control. I never thought an AI executive who closes studios would be so dearly beloved. What I'm saying. Bulldozers are cool, to be fair. They are pretty freaking cool. You know what I mean? I don't know if dudes ever outgrow that, right? When you're a kid, you see those big working trucks and like the bulldozers and the steamrollers and the cranes. You're like, oh, that's awesome. And then when you're an adult and you're like driving down the road, you're like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I don't know if we ever outgrow that. Like, big machinery's just cool. You know what I mean? It's like a living, breathing transformer. 5 bomb comes in from Jack Garland. Thank you so much, Mr. Jack. Listen, I was honestly hoping you guys, this is not reverse psychology. You guys can stop. I was kind of hoping we were going to hit it. was like, oh, I have a Friday night, and then we have the 4th of July. We'll do it. I'll honor it. I was kind of like, I hope they stall out today and don't hit it. It's not even 10 in the morning, and you guys are at 4:31. You pretty much have it locked in. I seriously was like, I'll be fine if they don't hit it this week, you know? It's a holiday weekend. We have Mini Bulldozer on the farm, and it is indeed a toy for the boys. Oh yeah. We never outgrow that, dude. Boys and their toys. That's right. Men and their toys are one and the same. We don't outgrow it. It's a beautiful thing. Oh man. They're getting ready to launch a promotional campaign. Xbox is getting ready to launch its promotional campaign. You can choose between digital or physical game types. Warawana, thank you so much for renewing on Twitch 3 months. Oh, I said this yesterday. Hang on a minute. A 3-stream streak from Ambition says, hi, Lono and Chad. Happy Friday and have a nice 4th of July weekend. Hope all is well. Take good care of yourselves. God bless you and your family. Mental health, be safe. Thank you so much, Ambition. I said this yesterday. Xbox is in an advantageous position right now. They have the advantage. I don't know if they're going to press the advantage, but they have the advantage. No, not marijuana. No, warawana. W's, no M's. Warawana. Restructuring company comes with tough decisions. We wanted Xbox to compete. After the Sony news recently, let Asha cook and see what dishes they serve us. Jimmy. No, she's not. The only thing she's cooking is the studios and the employees. She isn't cooking anything. The games that are coming weren't even under her leadership, like Gears of War E-Day and Forza 6 earlier this year. That wasn't even, she doesn't get credit for that. €6 from the crazy guy, the crazy Irish guy. Oh, let's get digital. I want to get digital. Let's get into digital. Yeah, a lot of consumers have switched to digital. I know that sucks for, the people who like physical, but the market has shifted. Yo, Brooklyn Breed, good to see you. Been a few years now. I will re-ask you this question. If you were in charge of Xbox, what would you do? Right now, if I was in charge of Xbox and they let me do it, I would say we need to have a talent assessment spectrum where we do not just shutter studios because of their revenue generation. I'd get rid of day and date. I'd start to foster an ecosystem of purchase with Game Pass. I'd start leveraging game trials and game demos, which is getting back to their roots of the Xbox 360 era with the Xbox Arcade. And I would start shoring up talent. I would give these studios another go of it under a different structure. There needs to be a different structure to this. Like, it's to me, I get why they're doing it as a business, but there's something unjust about being told you don't have to worry about sales. You guys make creative, cool stuff, and we're going to throw it on Game Pass. And then the new leadership comes in and is like, yeah, that was a terrible plan, so now you've got to pay the bill. It's like, what? It would be like being told, hey, move all your stuff in. I'll let you live here rent-free because I just want the place to look like people are staying here. And then after all that time, I'm like, yeah, pack your and get out. The bill's due now. That's what it feels like. It's like all these people came over here to Xbox thinking, well, we're going to be protected and we're going to have this big company behind us and they've got all this money and we're going to help pad Game Pass. And now the new leadership comes in and is like, yeah, we need money. Hotshot drops a 10 bomb on Twitch. Thank you, Mr. Hotshot. I'd be like, hey, why don't you let these people attempt to make games under a new paradigm where you don't put their game day and date on Game Pass and then scratch your noggin as to why they didn't make any money? Do you see how stupid this is? It's like you're switching to a new paradigm, which is why I don't think day and date will survive. And it's like You're going to switch to that and not let these people have a go at it under the new structure? It's stupid. It's like you are going to switch from the Game Pass, pad Game Pass, make little cool creative things. You're going to switch from that structure to this new structure, and you're not going to let these studios have a go at the new plan? You're just going to get rid of them? It's ridiculous. It's like, you did this. You set them up to fail, and now you're shoving them out the door? What'd you say, Hilly? I think it's hard for fans of Xbox. You cheer, and they change direction so much, it gets people twisted. I like Phil Spencer, but if the reality is him and the others have bloated Xbox to the point that they need to bulldozers, you can't blame the Wrecking Crew. Oh, I wasn't saying blame the Wrecking Crew, Hilly. I literally said earlier, it's just like PlayStation inheriting a horribly managed, overspending Bungie. You can't blame PlayStation for what Bungie did to their studio and that game, and you can't blame Asha Sharma for inheriting a burning house that needs to be bulldozed. Like, it's like she's got to do this. The thing that I don't like about it is if you're going to restructure things and go in a new direction where profit matters, let these studios attempt to flourish beneath that instead of being like, well, you're from the Game Pass era, so you gotta go. And it's like, that's not on them. The accountability's all backwards. I have people to thank. Hang on. I didn't want to interrupt myself there. Ikagang renews their membership, and then Henry renews his membership. Ikagang for 26 months, Henry for 24. How are you, Lono? Hope the family's doing well. I'm not surprised Asha's cleaning house. I feel like Xbox definitely needs a reset. And a 10 bomb from Haseo. Haseo, stop! No more. Let other people gift, Haseo. You're gonna hit 500, and other people should have helped. No more, sir. That's what frustrates me about this, is the accountability's all backwards. It's the same frustration I have with Bungie. The accountability's all backwards. It's like the people that drove Bungie into the red, into the proverbial iceberg, they all walk away with big fat retirement packages, and everybody else gets laid off. And it's like, this plan that you put into place, you spend and you spend and you spend, and you take all your blood and treasure and you throw it on Game Pass, and you wonder why the studios aren't generating enough revenue. And a 5 bomb comes in from Alex, and a single comes in from Dryad Sons. I gave that to the wrong one. My bad. The next 5 bomb on YouTube, I got to give it to Twitch. My bad. Haseo guilting me. We're at 460. $2 super chat from Glassdoor Gamer. Next week is going to be catastrophic. Yeah, the inverted accountability is sickening. It is. It's so frustrating. Did I thank you for your super chat, Soy? I feel like you did a super chat. Yeah, I read it. I did. So I don't think the gaming industry needs to be run by suits. It's a terrible catch-22, isn't it? You need lots of money to make games. So you got to go hat in hand to people with lots of money. It's a terrible catch-22. It really is. It's like we're getting we need to be clear about something. Our hobby, and I don't like doing the us versus them and the proverbial they and the doomer stuff that people do. But I do feel like our hobby is under threat from all sides. You have the AI companies creating a RAM crisis. That's driving hardware prices up. So you're pricing people out of the hobby there. There's now a report coming out. Nintendo's commenting on what it's going to do to them. So you got the AI companies, encroaching on hardware prices, basically going to make it impossible for people to buy in. And now we're getting attacked from corporate suits that overspend, gobble up studios, and now these studios are going to go bye-bye. These studios could have found other ways to survive. They could have found other means of funding. That's what really frustrates me with Xbox. It's like, Xbox, you could have entered into publishing agreements with these studios and continued to work with them for years. You spent so much money so inefficiently. It was just like, well, buy them, gobble them up. 20 billion here, 70 billion here. And what do they have to show for it? What do they have to show for it? All that money. Where are the games? Where are the games? It's so much money. And what do we have to show for it? It absolutely kills me. It's why I had such a go at Bungie. It's like, you guys had so much money. What did you do with it all? What did you do? We don't have anything to show for it. It's so frustrating. That's another threat to the industry. And listen, PlayStation's got to figure that out too. They've got to figure that out too. They've got studios like Insomniac and Santa Monica operating in places in the world that it's like, you got Insomniac in Burbank and all this. It's like, what are you going to do, man? It's just going to keep getting more and more expensive. They're on a collision course to similar problems. Their games have to sell so incredibly well for the calculus to work. Kira He, thank you for gifting a member over there on Purple. They have so many games now, but pretty much none are exclusive. Well, that's what's crazy, though, is a lot of the games that you're speaking of were coming to the market anyway. It wasn't additive at all. I mean, these were third-party multi-plat games that were already coming to the market. You know? Johnny Death says they spent it all on booze and women. Rare is apparently on the chopping block now. Where are you hearing this? Where are you hearing this? I mean, I think everything's on the table. I think Helix is on the table. I think Game Pass is on the table. I think every single thing they spend money on is under scrutiny. It all is under scrutiny. Because it's like, if it's costing them money, they're going to analyze what they're going to get from it. What's the return? That's why it frustrates me that, like, you're going to go to studios like Ninja Theory and others, and you're like, well, this is what we're spending to operate and to run your studio, and here's the revenue you generated. And it's like, yes, but that was under a different paradigm. That was under a different business strategy. You know what I mean? Let them flourish under your new ideas about, like, how much do these games make. 12 canceled games, 8 studio closures. Sony is there. Yeah, but again, the studio closure comparison thing is so bad faith. I'm going to shoot that down every time somebody does it. I know Colt Eastwood put that idea out there in the ether with his little comparison. I went and looked at his list of Sony closed studios. Like, half of the studios, 3 or 4 of them, were VR studios or mobile studios with like 10 to 20 people. It's not an equivalency. It's not even close. It isn't close. We are talking about something that will be seismic within the actual industry of gaming. A historic amount of layoffs and studio closures. And you want to be like, yeah, but 6 years ago, Sony closed a couple of studios that, if you added them all up, weren't even 100 people who were working on mobile games and VR games. It's not even remotely comparable. Sony's live service push was a failure. No, it wasn't. They've made tons of money on their live service push. You just don't want to count the wins. You only want to count the losses. They've made buckets of cash on Gran Turismo 7 and Helldivers 2 and MLB The Show. They're probably going to make good money on Marvel Tokone Fighting Souls. It hasn't been a failure. They're going to keep pushing for live service. The reason that Hideaki Nishino said what he said about live service is because they're making money off of it. You just don't want to count the wins. It's like, yeah, we're not going to count the wins. We're only going to count the losses. They're going to keep doing it. There's money to make in live service, and they know it, and they're going after it. They want their own live service game. Like, that's what they want. It's definitely been a failure. Only according to fanboys that don't look at the actual books and the actual internal conversations at Sony. Internally, they are not at all concluding what you're claiming. They see it as a success. They hail all the live service money that they've made, and then that's why they're going forward with more. What's happening with Fair Games? Hopefully it gets canceled. It sounds like a terrible idea. The road to successful live service games is going to be canceled games. I think they knew that. I think they knew there was going to be a lot of failures as well. But again, they're not seeing it the way that you're seeing it, because they see the very small amount of money they spent on like Helldivers and the amount of money that it created. Buddy, they got that first hit. They're hooked. They're on that. Oh, they want that. They're going to chase that feeling. They're going to chase that feeling. They make so much continual and residual money off of MLB The Show and Gran Turismo 7. They're not going to stop. They got a taste, and they're not going to stop. It's just like in the movies where they get the guy hooked on the drugs. They give him a taste, and then he wants more. They got a taste of like, oh, wow, we can spend a pretty small amount of money and then just continue to make money every year. They're not going to stop their efforts in live service. They're not. Comparing Sony money versus Microsoft money isn't even close. Sony and Nintendo kick the crap out of Microsoft with less money. It's embarrassing, honestly. It's embarrassing. Microsoft has spent an exorbitant more amount of money than Sony and Nintendo, and they have almost nothing to show for it comparatively. They don't bring anything more to the market. They're way less effective with way more money. If they would have gotten into publishing deals and exclusivity deals, they could have spent a fraction of what they spent. They could have spent about half. The 20 and the 70 billion, like 90 something billion, close to $100 billion. They could have spent half that in publishing deals. And they would have probably ended up actually bringing more to the market, and then those studios would have been able to continue bringing games to the market. Now, obviously, those publishing deals probably would have also had to have Game Pass deals, which completely runs counter to further publishing deals, because they'd have been like, we didn't make enough money. But again, under the new paradigm of we want to sell games and make money off of them, I think you'd go into publishing deals with those companies and you'd just be like, we're not putting your game on Game Pass this time, because you'd have money to spend. They spent so much. Flexing their wallet is not a flex at this point. It's an indictment. It's embarrassing. I think ABK was to sabotage the industry. Microsoft's so massive it could buy Sony and Nintendo if they wanted. Well, they couldn't, because there's Japanese law that would make that virtually impossible. But technically speaking, Microsoft could, yes, at a technical level, but not an actual level. PlayStation's not in the same boat at all. No, they're not. They're not even remotely in the same position. The Bungie deal and the ABK deal are equivalent when comparing price to market cap. You're going to have to explain what it is you're attempting to say, because that sounds like nonsense to me. Price to market cap? Bungie and ABK? What? How? How are you getting to that? How are you getting to that math? ABK was like it. That you're comparing. You can't even compare those two things. What? I'm just glad to see that the M&A is not the way to victory. Report Rare is on the block to be sold. A $2 super chat. Yeah, I don't know where are you guys getting this. Somebody said they put it in the Discord. I missed it. Did you put it in the live chat? Oh, wait. Editor-in-chief. Hang on. I got it. Let me pull this up and see if this is legitimate. You got to be careful with that one Reddit thread location. That stuff crops up there and disappears within the hour sometimes. Editor-in-chief of Knowledge, Edge Industry Newsletter, was told last night Rare is on the block. We understand Rare may be affected in any restructuring. Oh, see, that's so generic, though. I mean, that could mean downsizing. That could mean downsizing. That doesn't mean they're going to be closed. I think it gets a little confusing, because when we say they're on the block, I feel like you're talking about they're going to chop them. They're going to get rid of them. Sony and Microsoft both spend roughly 2.5% of their market cap per deal. I don't think that, I mean, okay, that sounds like an interesting fact more than something that's pertinent to the discussion. Like, okay. If you're trying to argue against what I was saying with how efficient they are, I was comparing the fact that PlayStation is bringing a lot of games to market without acquisition. Can you see my comment? I keep getting errors. Yes, I'm seeing your comment. You said again, do we all know all these games even were? Oh yeah, the canceled live service games. Well, people talk out of both sides of their mouth about the live service thing. They say they don't want more live service. They think live service sucks and is terrible, but then they'll use PlayStation canceling live service games as some sort of an indictment. And it's like, well, don't you want them to cancel bad live service games instead of shipping them? What, do you want more marathons out there in the ether with like a couple thousand people playing in the middle of the night? Is that what you want? Like, did you want them to ship the Spider-Man game and the Last of Us game and all these live service games so that 6 months later they could all have shrinking player bases? Like, is that what you wanted? Did you want Insomniac and Naughty Dog supporting live service games with roadmaps and patch notes? Is that what we want those studios working on? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, can you imagine following Insomniac for like patch notes on a battle pass? Oh my gosh. That would be, yeah, here comes Naughty Dog with a tweet. So what we did is we reined in the damage range of the shotgun, and we can't wait for next season to start. We've got some really cool jackets for your characters, and if you get to level 50 on the bat, no thank you. No thank you. No. I am glad these games got canceled. We do not want these studios that spending their time on that crap. Golly. Citing the canceled live service games should be a celebration point for a lot of those studios. Bend, Naughty Dog, Insomniac. Rest in peace, Blue Point. That's one that I'll never let go of. I still think that was a short-sighted decision. They should have kept them. There's got to be plenty of games they could have been remaking. I still don't understand how that happened. You were going to turn them into a support studio. Live service games are a disease to gaming? I don't agree. That's so overstated. Live service games are generating a stupid amount of money for the entire industry. Like, there are game companies right now that were able to make their game in Unreal and get a better deal with Epic because Fortnite was so successful. Epic changed the terms and conditions on the Unreal Engine. Here's the dilemma with live service games and like trying to demonize them. It's like you guys imagine a world where if Fortnite and Apex and Warzone didn't exist, all those gamers would be happily gobbling up like single-player games instead. A lot of people are literally every day playing a game and funneling money into the gaming industry because they found a home in Arc Raiders. They found a home in Destiny or whatever. The continued insistence and attempts to demonize live service games, it makes no sense to me. It's like, I get that you're frustrated when a live service game comes out and fails and you feel like, man, that studio could have done something else. I get that. That frustration's valid. But you're turning around and being like, live service games are terrible and they're a disease. And it's like, there are millions upon millions of people every day that are having a ball at a live service game. There's entire audiences entertained by Burnt Peanut every day and other people playing live service games. They're not the devil. Live service games are simply the clearest, most symptomatic, emblematic picture of companies want money. That's all it is. It's like, here's what I think's going on. We are at a point, more than we ever have been in the history of gaming, where our hobby has had the curtain torn all the way down. We see the man behind the curtain, And we don't like the man behind the curtain. So we're angry. And we want to have a go at certain things. More now than we ever have been able to see. We've seen behind the veil. It's like all they want is money. They want live service. They'll gobble up studios and they'll throw them on a street corner the next minute if they're not making enough money. We know this now more than we ever have. It's never not been like this. This industry has always been driven by big pockets, hoping to get big return on the next big thing. It's always been this way. We just now see it more clear than we probably ever have in the history of gaming. And live service is simply a symptom of it. It's like you can clearly see, oh gosh, this is just being driven by greed and money. Yeah, it's pretty much always been that way. $3 super chat from Soy says, Fortnite has more users than PSN, much money potential. That's one of the reasons why these studios are chasing the live service dollar. It's just ridiculous. Ashton with 58 months. Another scorcher today. Hope you're staying cool. I'm in a basement with the AC pumping. All that investment last year in my roof and then getting a new furnace, that it actually keeps up. I'm impressed. I'm actually impressed. What is this? $2 super chat from Forget Me Not. Can PlayStation walk it back? No. No. They can't. Too many things have been set in motion. No. The PlayStation decision was made long before we heard about it, and a lot of things have been set in motion. I said it this morning. Here we go. Gene Park gave us our... this is it. This is the energy of the time. What's the next terrible thing that's going to happen in gaming? Smile through the pain, boys. I don't know. I don't know. We've had less first-party games this gen than any other because of live service, which has mostly failed. We've had less first-party games this gen than any other. Well, first and foremost, that's not a fair comparison because this gen's not over. So you're going to add in things like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Last of Us Part 2, and Spider-Man. Those 4 games all landed like ding, 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 like right at the end of the gen, 18, 19, and 20. You see what I'm saying? Like, at this many years into the PlayStation 4 gen, I bet you if we go back, it's almost an exact tie because there's so much revisionist history around the whole first-party obsession because a lot of the time, you go back and look at those games, they weren't even first-party when they shipped. They weren't. Many, many times we've gone back and looked at the history of PlayStation and the rhythm and the cadence of this first-party utopia that apparently you were living in back then, and they weren't first-party games back then. They weren't. You've created this like retroactive revisionist history. We're like, yeah, back then we had way more first-party. And it's like, no, you didn't. You got a lot of exclusives back then, and you got a ton of exclusives this gen. You just got convinced by, I don't know, some propagandistic podcaster probably, that all that matters now is first party. Do you remember the reason, and this all ties in to what we're talking about today, the reason people started fixating on first party was because they saw a path for their brand to win, and the path for their brand to win was get out the checkbook so we can claim we have more first party. That's why that narrative took hold. That narrative took hold with an entire fan base because you got propagandized into believing that that's a huge priority. That matters. Who owns the studio? It doesn't matter that Rise of the Ronin and Stellar Blade were great and fun and enjoyable games. That doesn't matter because the studios weren't owned by PlayStation. They were exclusives. They added value to the console, but that doesn't matter because the studios aren't owned by PlayStation. That's the stupidest logic I've ever heard consumers willingly swallow and spew back out. The dumbest, most boneheaded logic I've ever heard of. Quality of the game doesn't matter. Fun of the game doesn't matter. Exclusivity doesn't matter. What matters is who owns the studio? What the frick? Since when? A 5-bomb from Rissick. You guys started caring about stuff that didn't matter. You got convinced to care about things that have nothing to do with your experience as a consumer. It has nothing to do with your experience as a consumer. Was the game fun? Oh, I don't care about that. I care about who owns the studio. Like, you'll walk around and parade around like Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop because they eventually were owned by Xbox, even though they launched as PlayStation exclusives, but they get paraded around as first-party games. And it's like, huh? But I'm telling you, you got propagandized into creating the most strange, most bizarro world hierarchy of consumer value that I've ever seen. Spend a bunch of money, own the studios, give me the games for nothing on Game Pass. That's how I win as a consumer. And all the while, everybody else is saying, no, that's not how you win as a consumer. That's bad for you, and it's bad for the industry, and the bill's going to come due. Well, the bill's come due. A €6 super chat. What is PlayStation's realty? Oh, reality. Why don't you discuss the rumored PlayStation price hikes for the payers? Why don't I discuss the rumored PlayStation price hikes? I literally already did. We spent 2 days having a go at PlayStation, and I talked about the impending rise of their hardware costs, and I talked about how it will likely land next year. I already talked about this. I mean, I appreciate you paying me money to tell you things I've already said. That's great. I mean, dude, homie, I'll just sit here and just repeat. I'll just read through my script 10 more times from the other day. You can just keep paying me to do that, I guess. I did talk about that. Literally talked about that yesterday. I'm telling you, the hierarchy of value that some of you guys are clinging to or use to like complain about PlayStation, it's completely upside down. I was just pointing out Sony's shift from making games to chasing the Fortnite money. They didn't shift from making games to chasing the Fortnite money. They didn't. They did the same thing that they've always done. They invested in new ventures and procured a bunch of exclusives for you while also giving you a very healthy cadence of first-party games. They didn't change at all. They did the same thing they've done. The entire PS4 gen, they were going out and procuring exclusives for you. Not studios, exclusives. They did the same thing this gen. The one time we added up all the exclusives that had come out in like the first 4 to 5 years, and they averaged somewhere between 4 to 6 exclusives a year. 4 to 6. And people were still, yeah, but they're just not in the first party. And it's like, nobody talked about that during the PlayStation 4 era. It only became a talking point this gen because Xbox got out the checkbook. And that was the victory those guys could celebrate. They couldn't talk about the hardware because the Series S was an embarrassment so bad that Microsoft and Xbox privated their own marketing video about it. They couldn't talk about the games because there were none. So they had to talk about the fact that like, oh, but we're going to have more first party than you're going to have. Look, my dad could beat up your dad. It was like, what? It was like striking out in a baseball game and being like, yeah, but my dad's got a bigger truck than your dad. It was like, that has nothing to do with what matters. Where are the games? That's what matters. And you got convinced that the hierarchy flipped all the way upside down. No. What matters is they have to own the studio. What? Huh? I thought exclusives mattered. Oh, no. Exclusives didn't matter, but now they do. Aren't you tired of that merry-go-round? It's like, exclusives didn't matter. What mattered was first party because they got out the big checkbook. But then the big checkbook brought the bill due, and the bill due said you can't do exclusives anymore. You got to put games everywhere. So now it's not about first party. It's about, the way of the future is exclusives, and PlayStation's going to do the same thing. Yeah, exclusives are bad, and exclusives are anti-consumer. Oh, but now Asha walks out, gives you some console exclusives. Exclusives are good again. Now exclusives are good again. And now that studios are getting closed down, it's like, yeah, well, this is just how things go. You got to make some bad decisions. Got to break some eggs to make an omelet. They're torching the literal hen house. They're not breaking eggs to make an omelet. Like, this is more serious than that. And it's so frustrating to listen to the same nonsense, the same talking points, time and time again. It's like, what mattered were the games. That's what mattered from moment one, was the games. Exclusives added value to the ecosystem of your choice, and the quality of the games mattered to keep you coming back for more. And that all got twisted up, flipped up, turned upside down. And let me tell you about how I became the Prince of Bel-Air. No, that all got flipped upside down. And it was like, well, now you guys are talking about stuff that doesn't even matter to the consumer. It doesn't matter to the consumer. I remember after the One PlayStation Showcase trying to explain that to people. I was like, you guys, we're all mad about the lack of first party. And you could ask the average consumer and the average gamer what they thought about the lack of first party. And they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. That was a lot of good games that I can play on my PlayStation. I have somebody to thank. Somebody renewed. What is this? Scotty B with a Prime over there on purple. Thank you. Now you're moving with Auntie. That's right. You got to go moving with Auntie and Uncle. Did they say Auntie in that? Auntie? No, they said Aunt. Aunt Bev. It's a holiday Friday. Let's not set Lono off. Scotty B's going to double dip. He hits 50 months and a member plus over here on YouTube. Thank you, sir. The reason I get frustrated by this is I watch an entire fan base capitulate to bad strategy, bad planning, and BS talking points, and you all flipped and contorted your values and what you cared about to fit that thing that they kept saying. And it's just infuriating because it was bankrupt, vapid, empty nonsense. And now that the bill comes due, all we're going to do is talk about like, well, this is just what has to happen. These are the hard decisions. No, the hard decisions would have been to double down, reinvest in these studios, and give them a shot under the new leadership and under the new hierarchy. And you're not getting that. That would have been a hard decision. A gift that comes in from Barrett's Champion. That would have been hard. Don't tell me it's a hard decision to come in and close studios that you don't give a frick about. You bought them up so you could pad your Game Pass and pad your cadence and your stupid roadmaps. These aren't hard decisions. Hard decisions would have been like, you know what? Maybe we should give these studios a chance under the new paradigm of like, hey, profit actually matters now. You could have fooled me after 20 or 30 years of the gaming industry thriving and growing and exploding that game sales matter. I was what? It's just, whew, that one came out of nowhere, boys. It's like getting halfway through mowing your yard and being like, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, you got to put gas in it. That's so that's stupid, me. You need gas in the tank. Yeah, you need sales. You need to sell stuff. Sidebar, I'm rewatching Heroes on Netflix. I'm only watching first season. If you know, you know. Yeah, I don't know what you mean. You're only watching the first season. First would imply there's more seasons. What are you talking about? There's only one season of Heroes. You're watching Heroes. That's it. Those other seasons don't exist. Market corrections are painful, but eventually will produce healthy developers. Tommy, I love your optimism. I just don't know. I just don't know. Rulik here says, I'm working in my kitchen as I listen and sometimes comment here and there. Take it easy. You're good, man. You're good. Obviously, I didn't agree with your take on, live service games being a disease. But hey, it's other opinions are welcome, even if I don't agree with them. Hang on a second. Okay. Sorry. Probably still going to be a problem if they continue to do day and date on Game Pass. Day and date on Game Pass is literally walking the plank right now. There's no way day and date survives. There's no way. If Asha Sharma is given this task and she's got to cut deep, dude, day and date's got to get hit with this cut. The machete has to swing that far. It must. Here's the other thing I talked about in my show open that I think is actually a giant catch-22. Kaiser Sose, thank you so much for renewing over there with your Prime. 14 months, you the man. This is the catch-22 that they're staring down the barrel of. And Jez Corden basically says a lot of the reasons they're doing this is they want to funnel more money to the bigger projects, to the bigger games. Okay, let's just consider that for a second. This is the same dilemma that I said is facing down studios like Insomniac working out of Burbank. You've got to make an insane amount of money because you're spending an insane amount of money. It's why Bungie's bill came due. So Xbox is setting themselves up to need the games to sell incredibly well. You are not going to have a diverse portfolio of like, well, here's a smaller project. It took a smaller amount of money. We don't need the return to be as big. It's like, no, you're going to need these games to sell absurd amounts of copies. That's why day and date is got to be under the gun. It has to be. How do you plan to make this work? Let's just take, for example, the year that they put Call of Duty on Game Pass and it allegedly lost them $300-something million. That's like an entire game budget. Gone because they put the game on Game Pass, all right? So I want you to consider something. If they're basically creating a bunch of Call of Duties, maybe not quite the same budget, but they're creating a bunch of Call of Duties. They just want big budget, big sales, big games. Okay, then you can't put them on Game Pass. Call of Duty taught you that. Do you see? Do you see how I'm walking through this logically? It's like, okay, Call of Duty is extremely expensive, and you put it on Game Pass day and date, it lost you hundreds of millions of dollars. You're basically saying that that's what you want to do going forward. You want to put big games into the market, big budgets, big property. You can't have day and date then. You can't. Moore's Law is dead. Hang on, a $5 super chat. What's this say? Moore's Law is dead has shown PlayStation has had better sales than Steam at times. Don't know why people say they don't. Ragnarok Deluxe is 50% off currently. There is a giant self-report happening right now in the coverage about that situation, and that's one of them. People keep saying, oh, look at how much cheaper physical is right now. The fact that like super informed, super intelligent people are pushing forward that notion, it literally hurts my soul. It hurts me in my soul. It's like a physical copy being severely discounted at Amazon or Walmart has nothing to do with PlayStation. That's that company trying to literally get rid of the stuff, which is quite literally the reason why physical is going away. Like, I've never seen people so unknowingly kick the ball in their own net. I'm like, you understand why those physical copies are discounted, right? Because they're still freaking sitting there. That's why they're so heavily discounted. You're also self-reporting on the fact that apparently you don't ever pay attention when PlayStation does a big sale, because they've done a ton of them lately. I've seen a ton of games, and we've encouraged people. I remember people posting it in the Discord. They're like, such and such a game is heavily discounted. Such and such a game is heavily discounted. They're acting like that never happens. That's such a misrepresentation. And they're literally showing, look how much cheaper physical is right now than digital. Yes. Do you know why? scratch your noggin for 5 seconds and think, why is God of War Ragnarok physical cheaper on Amazon right now? Because it came out 4 years ago. That's why. The copies are just sitting there. They want to get rid of them. That's literally the issue. It's like, well, yeah, physical's expensive. Oh, and then when the sales slow down, we just have a bunch of physical copies out there just sitting there. And the best way to move them is to discount them, which means then you make less. So it's like the people are doing that. They're out there with those screenshots. And I'm like, you're hurting my soul. You're kicking the ball in your own net and you don't even realize it. Like, I get it. You want people to have those options as consumers. I get that. That part I agree with and understand. I don't like consumers having choices taken from them. But that's literally part of the calculus here. That's part of the calculus. It's like it's sitting in a warehouse. They want to get rid of it. It's taking up space. And more people have started buying digital in greater numbers. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted from Rissick. Stop crying over Gears of War E-Day not coming to PlayStation. The $6 Euro. Homie, I have a 5070 Ti right there and an Xbox Series X. I'm going to buy Gears of War E-Day twice. I'm going to do that thing we've been talking about all morning. I'm going to buy a game. I'm certain that you will too, right? You're not just going to play it on Game Pass, right? Rissick gifts a single and gets us to 482. $2 says, but that's good for the consumer. Jay, like I said, I conceded that. I'm not saying that, like, I get it. I totally understand. It's nice having those options. It's nice being able to right now finally decide to buy Ragnarok and you can get it for like 30 or 40 bucks from a retailer. Sure, great for the consumer. That literally is a demonstration of the reason this is happening, though. It's like physical sales are slowing down, and because they're slowing down, you're going to see them shift away. DK Bager, thank you so much for the gifted. It's Play Anywhere. I'm going to buy it twice because maybe I don't have to buy it twice. I was going to buy it on Steam and then on Xbox, but maybe I don't have to. I was assuming I was going to have to do it if we were both going to play at the exact same time. I don't know how that works. I've never tried to use a Play Anywhere game to play online co-op. I've never tried that. I don't know if it will work. My assumption is I'd have to own 2 copies in order to do what I'm going to do, which is play Gears of War with my wife. I don't have to do that with Sony games because I have 2 PlayStations. If I had 2 Xboxes, I'm assuming I'd be able to do that, so maybe Play Anywhere will let me do it. I don't know. More people buy digital. Well, there are reports coming out, and they're being like, hey, that's actually not true. Rissick, thanks so much for the gifted. I think 2 things happened. The shift to digital was engineered. Engineered how, though? People just started doing it. I mean, I think it went faster than they maybe anticipated because of the pandemic. But how did they engineer it? I don't think they engineered it. I think consumers just started picking the convenient path. I think 2 things happened. Raw material costs skyrocketed in the last 2 years. Production costs skyrocketed in the last 2 years. And then the war came in and made it all worse. And shipping costs are ridiculous. So what happened? While that was happening, in the last year, just in the last year, digital went way up. People were buying more digital. So PlayStation just crunched the numbers and was like, this is stupid. What are we doing? We're just going to keep paying more and more and more and more for the physical, for the production, for the shipping, and for the raw materials, and people are buying them less. They're buying more digital now. Rissick with the gifted and Haseo with the gifted. Thank you so much. A $3 super chat from Soy says, nobody cared that Ratchet was second party for 20 years. Of course they didn't care. I'm telling you, people got so severely propagandized this generation because their brand was doing poor and they had to have something to celebrate. Xbox was doing very poorly like the first 4 to 5 years of this gen, And you all got propagandized into celebrating stuff that doesn't frickin' matter. That's the facts. Like, I couldn't believe it. I remember being so bewildered. I was like, none of this makes any sense. I was like, why do you guys keep obsessing over first party? Why don't you care about exclusives? And I would add up all the exclusives. And they'd be like, yep, it's not first party. PlayStation has no games. And it was like, okay. $5 super chat from Glassdoor Gamer. As a digital guy, I've seen many instances where PSN had better prices than physical. Horizon Forbidden West is $34 Canadian on PSN and $80 on Amazon. Yeah, it's never... That's the other thing. Haseo, stop. A 5-bomb from Haseo. I told you to stop it, Haseo. Let other people gift. You can do the rest. You were supposed to stop a long time ago. Let other people pick up the weight, brother. Stop it. To be fair, you could also see this taking place in stores. Best Buy had basically no game section. Walmart, Target, all have small sections now. Right, like, the situation is, there's like 85 different things that led to this. And I think people are running with the notion, and Ristic with the 5-bomb, thank you. People are running with the notion that, oh, they manufactured this and they're lying to us. And it's like, I don't think so. I don't think they manufactured this. I want you to look at it from PlayStation's perspective, or even from Xbox's perspective, because they're both allegedly going digital only. Thank you, Barrett's Chosen, for a single. They're both allegedly going digital only. If they had the option to produce the discs, make them and ship them, and continue to make good money off of them going forward, and have that broader spectrum of user and consumer, they would. This is not something that they were like, oh yeah, we're headlong in a hurry to chop off entire regions of the world from being able to get our games. I don't think this is something that they were rushing towards. I think it literally is part of what people have been talking about. Like, these companies are going to have to find ways to spend less money because there's a lot of pain coming economically. Silver Subaru with a gifted. And another one from Liquid. And another one from Skillful. There it is. I don't have a stretch goal. I don't even know what we would do tonight for a stretch goal to get to 750. I don't even know what we would do. Madam and I could play a game or something. It'd be fun to show you guys Astral Ascent. That is a really cool game that we've been enjoying, but that'd be two birds with one stone. Because we like to play that in the evenings, but I don't know. Let me put up the timer. What's today's date? Set, start. There we go. Why would it be so bad to have an external drive as an add-on for PlayStation 6? $5 super chat from Chris Edwards. All the years of people saying it's my choice, everyone chose digital. So why do I get people upset? The trend speaks for itself. Well, people are upset because it was a choice, and going forward it won't be a choice. And Raven with the 5-bomb says, well, let's go for it. Let's go for the stretch goal. All right. It was a choice, Chris. It's not a choice going forward. I gave the example yesterday of, like, I chose to go digital, but I've always had the option to switch back if I wanted. Like, if my neighbor sold me his collection of PlayStation games. He doesn't have a collection of PlayStation games. If you guys are going to try to, like, dox me and rob my neighbor. He doesn't. It's a total made-up example. But it's like, here's my PlayStation game collection. It's 500 games or something. And I bought it from him. And then I'm like, you know what? I'd like to start to add to this physical library. I don't have that choice going forward. The choice is being made for me. I don't like that. I don't like choice being taken from the consumer. But we're looking at an economic reality that these guys are just being the first to do it. I think Xbox is going to do it as well. I think Nintendo's headed towards it as well. Why? They are trying to find any way possible to shrink cost, to shrink spending. Economically, they're facing some pretty hard realities going forward. Some of this is coming from the AI companies gobbling up hardware. Some of it's because of the war and gas prices and the instability of the globe right now. They're trying to figure out, what do we do going forward? And when that's happening, and you're seeing the trend of users just adopting digital so easily, they're like, let's just do it. A $5 super chat from J Hart. Blu-ray movies are at a 1% and still being produced, but 25% of the discs isn't worth the investment. I think it's because of the rising costs that are coming, Jay. This is maybe what we're not seeing quite yet. There's speculation, there's projections that has all of those costs and raw materials and production costs. They're all going like this. And they're like, we got to get out of that. Does that make sense? Like, they're looking at trajectories, and the trajectory of digital is like this. People are buying more digital. The trajectory for physical is like this. It's going down. You're like, but it's still this percentage. It's still 25%. No. Think about where it's headed. It's not. I think people are getting lost in the numbers. They're like, oh no. But look at these years. Physical did really well. Look at this pocket of the world. Physical did really well. No. Just stop for a second. It's where the numbers are headed. And the biggest number that's worrisome to them is the expense, the cost for raw materials and production's going straight up. And they're like, we have absolutely got to get out of this. We have to find ways to spend less on production and raw materials. That's a really easy way to do it. And when the projected trajectories of consumer spending is heading in a direction that complements the decision, it becomes a no-brainer for an executive. Yeah. Let's get the frick out of physical. Kingslayer, thank you so much for the plus. Renewal. Do you see what I'm saying? There's multiple graphs at play here. I think people are fixating on, but lots of people still buy physical. You are not incorrect, but you're not looking at the full scope of the picture that the executives likely are looking at. They're probably doing exactly what Asha Sharma did in the memo. What did Asha Sharma say? Here's our anticipated rise next year on hardware. So, PlayStation's doing the same thing. Here is our anticipated rising production costs and raw material costs and freight and shipping. All of that's anticipated to go up. And while we're all anticipating that going up, we're watching consumers shift away from physical. So these are lots of graphs and trajectories that we're not seeing the projections. We're just seeing the here and the now. And we're like, what the frick? Why are you doing this? The numbers are skewed. I don't think they're skewed. I think we're trying to take slices of the numbers instead of the whole picture. I really, really do think, where's the gaming roundtable? It takes place on Twitch and YouTube. If making a physical disc is also being included in the game dev cause, that can help with budgets. That's exactly right. Like you're picking up what I'm putting down, Brianna. Like, y'all need to think about what they're facing. They're getting hit from all sides. The rising cost of development. Inflation is causing costs of living to go up. Cost of living goes up, means your salaries have to go up. It means your offers for new employees has to go up. Everything's going up from that perspective. Hardware is becoming insanely more expensive, just compounding. Boom, 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 boom. Year over year, the AI thing is messing everything up. And then freight and shipping and gas is affecting anything you're going to produce. Remember when I said, I don't think we're getting a Wolverine Collector's Edition, and I don't think we're getting a GTA 6 Collector's Edition because the cost of raw materials, production, and shipping just completely ruined the calculus of them wanting to make a Collector's Edition. I'm applying the exact same logic here. It's like, yeah, they don't want to do this. It's becoming too expensive. The entire calculus on physical changed within the last 12 months, and you guys act like, but people are buying, what are you doing? And it's like, you are only looking at a very, very microcosmic picture. They're thinking, okay, they're making this change in 2 years, right? That's a springboard, 2028, like 10 years out. That's what they're thinking about. You're thinking about right now, and that's the mistake I think a lot of people are making. Street Shadow with a $10 super chat. Don't forget, everyone, there are fewer manufacturers of the parts needed to stamp a disc and the drives to run the discs. Sony owns factories which support Sony and others. They said their orders are nearing 10%. Yes, there's been a decline in all of these categories. They didn't come to... See, we are so... how do I want to say this? We have like a microfilm of the situation. Do you guys ever remember going to the library and you get a microfilm and like you put it in and you like use the little knobs and it's like and it like goes by and you're like looking at like a piece of an old newspaper? We have a microfilm of this. Like we have like a teeny snapshot of what the market's been doing and why they might have come to this conclusion. There's all these moving parts in the background that have led to this decision. If less people are making the parts, ordering the parts, making the discs, that's going to affect their cost. They're getting hit from every single angle on this, and they're looking at the trajectory. They're like, if we're going to continue to make discs and physical and disk drives in 2028 and 2029 and beyond, our cost is going to become untenable. We can't do that. Like, everybody has sort of this like conspiratorial view of this, like, well, they're doing this to manipulate us and they want us to own nothing. I do not think that's the goal here. That's not the goal. There is so many more levers being pulled and tuned that made them say, we can't do this anymore. Thank you, Kirahi. I appreciate that. A $5 super chat from the Gaming Ledger. This was inevitable given Blu-ray format is dead for movies and TV. Blu-ray players have been discontinued by major electronics manufacturers. Yes, this day was coming, y'all. And what put it into overdrive is a war that affected gas, which affects shipping and freight. Imagine right now, we haven't reordered coffee, boys. At my size, at my operational like output of revenue and capital, I haven't re-upped the coffee. Why? Tariffs completely hurt that industry because the beans don't come from America. Then I got to have them shipped. Then I got to have them roasted, and then I got to have them shipped to me. I'm getting hit every which way to Sunday if I try to re-up the coffee. Now I want you to take what I'm facing and scale that out to the size and scope of an operation like PlayStation, where they're making and shipping millions of these discs. Imagine the cost. Imagine what it does. Like, it's like it becomes the cost to make it, house it, ship it, all went up at the same time. And it didn't just like go up, it's like shooting up, and it doesn't show signs of slowing down. That's the other problem they're facing. They're like, this isn't slowing down. A $6 Euro super chat. You keep harping back to the past. Look to the future. The future is bright. The future is green. We are Xbox. Thanks for the super chat. Lono, devs are missing an easy and reasonable reason. Game sizes are ballooning past 1 and even 2 discs. I'm a massive pro physical guy. You want 6 discs for the PS6? I just realized this. Again, that's also some of the calculus here. Yes. They probably had a conversation with Rockstar and they were like, ugh. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to be, let's save all that money. You're just trying to push us to digital coffee. Yes. We're getting ready to, you kind of exposed our plan. I didn't want to talk about this. We're shifting to digital coffee in 2028. It's going to be an app that you download and it'll just be a cup on your phone, you know. We're working with the company to try to make it smell like coffee, like we're going to sell it, you know, a separate thing. I again think people are they're jumping to conclusions, and they're jumping to like, oh, I know why they're doing this, and da 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 da, and it's like, Street Shadow with a $10 super chat. The numbers are not inflated. The 85% is the peak for the latest quarter. That is game unit sales. No DLC included in that. It's a different line item. Multiple people have confirmed this. Right, Street Shadow. And the other thing that's going on there, do you want to know what probably led to that? I want you guys to guess. Start throwing out guesses right now. Let's have a little thought experiment. Why do you think all of a sudden in the most recent quarter, why did digital spike like that? Does anybody have a theory on what happened? Why would consumers suddenly be buying more games digital than physical? Just seemingly kind of out of nowhere. Like, why did it spike like that? Take a guess. Put your guesses in chat. We'll see how fast we can come with a reasonable theory here. Because I think people are like, well, it was just this quarter. Okay, why do you think that happened? What led the consumers to shift like that, seemingly like a flock of birds suddenly turning out of nowhere? You're like, what happened? Do you remember in Jurassic Park where he's like, just like a flock of birds avoiding a predator, and all of a sudden the T-Rex comes crashing through the tree line? The weather? No. Come on. Why? Somebody can think of it. You're one of the only ones that brings up the war. Japan's being hit really hard economically. COVID? No. Why would COVID affect the most recent quarter? Homies, the most recent quarter. The most recent quarter saw this surge. So the one right behind us inside of 2026. Come on, y'all. Train consumers? No. Why would consumers do that? All of a sudden, gas prices. Thank you. Homies, everybody went to go order physical, and you know what suddenly happened? Shipping was more expensive. And they were like, what the frick? GTA pre-orders? Maybe? Would GTA pre-orders be included? That's probably one of them. But also, I guarantee you, people have been going to order physical for a very long time. They might do it through Amazon. They might do it through GameStop. And all of a sudden, they were like, huh? Why is the shipping so high? So what are you going to do? Well, I just get it digital. Like, we're literally coming out of quarters and trends where consumers have shifted to digital, and it's because all of a sudden people were going to order physical and they were like, oh my gosh, the shipping is higher. You also have to remember something. Consumers that buy video games, that's not the only thing that they buy. So we've all been treated to this horrible reality. Oh, dude, shipping's a freaking joke right now. Shipping is so high. And they go to order something, and they're like, I'm not doing that. And so you're going to have a natural aversion in the market of people like, I'm not going to order physical. I'm just going to go digital because shipping's getting too expensive. Now, if they have Amazon Prime, then they don't, usually I think the games are like free, like release day or whatever. And if you have like Walmart Plus or something. But I would not be surprised at all if one of the emergent properties this year is that we all got tired of going to order things and seeing the prices go up and seeing the shipping going up. And it was like, forget this noise. I'm just going to get my next game digital. They might not even put it in the cart. They might have just been conditioned by the market itself to be like, dude, I'm not having anything shipped right now. We're getting fleeced. Depending on where you're shipping from, shipping games is free. I mean, again, it depends. They like I'm saying, they might not even put the game in the cart. They've just been conditioned this year to avoid paying for something to be shipped to their house because shipping got more expensive on everything. Like when you guys order coffee from us, I don't go in and fiddle with that. You're paying for the label. So whatever the price goes to, whatever the price fluctuates to, you're just going to pay for that. When you go to order anything, that's typically how it works. Or J Murph is adding a good thing here as well. Why would I waste gas money driving half an hour to closest GameStop to get the game that I can just download? Exactly right. Gas prices going up will also affect that as well. People are less willing to drive around. They're like, no, we're not going anywhere today. We're not going to the store this weekend. No, the gas is too expensive. When I'm telling you, when this kind of stuff happens, there's all kind of things that emerge from it. There's all these sort of like downstream effects. And all of a sudden they were like, oh my gosh, like everybody's shifting to digital and we're having to pay more to make these physical. I also think, again, they're projecting out multiple years of these prices going up. What about incongruity between going full digital, cheaper, faster, and easier, but the price of games is going up? I'm sure there's an explanation, but that sucks. Okay, that's a fair question, Steamboat. I love the name, Steamboat Williams. The cost to make the games isn't going to just automatically go down, though, simply because you don't make discs anymore. Salaries are still going up. If cost of living's going up, guess what? You have to have competing and compelling offers to hire people. You have to give people raises. So the cost of production's not going down for the studio itself. It might go down a little bit because you're, like somebody pointed out, like if the cost to make the discs and print the discs and ship the discs, if that's included in the budget, that's getting removed from the budget with it, which is nice, but like that's like unbuttoning your belt after Thanksgiving. It's only going to do so much. Why did this not happen a few years ago when gas prices were higher than they are now? Well, because there were other things going on in the past couple of years, not just gas. Gas prices going up were sort of like, it was sort of like turning on a fan next to a house of cards. It was already shaky. The market was already shaky, brother. Tariffs came in and wreaked havoc. Then the AI boom happened. So all of a sudden hardware prices are just going up, 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 up. Then there's shortages. Then gas prices go up because of the war. Like it was already shaky, brother, and then yep, boom. So if gas prices go up by themselves and nothing else is really going on, there were no tariffs, there was no war, then and there's no AI boom. That's why I said they're getting hit from all sides. They're getting hit from all sides. That's why this whole well, this is corporate greed, and they're wanting to steal from you. So piracy should be legal now. If buying's not owning, then pirating isn't stealing, or whatever the frick these people say that they think is so intellectual. They're getting hit from all sides. They're trying to figure out every which way they can to lower their spending, which is extremely relevant to the Xbox subject. The reason that Asha Sharma is going to have to take an absolute, school bus size machete to the company is because they're facing the exact same realities. They're facing the same thing. But Sony's still making record profits. How do you think they're protecting those profits, though? Yeah, they're having a profitable generation. And guess what they're looking at? They're looking at projections, they're looking at charts, and they're looking at cost of raw materials, and they're looking at cost of shipping and everything, and it's all going like this. Like, do you see? Like, yeah, they're like, yeah, we were profitable. How do we stay profitable, though, in light of this? Like, imagine that you're running a business, and you are... you mow lawns. This is a good one because of gas, right? You're mowing lawns and you come out of a very profitable year, and everything you're looking at, and you're looking at like that you want to give your guys raises, right? Cost of living's going up, groceries are more expensive. They're like, hey man, we've got other lawn mowing companies we could go and work for, and they're going to pay us more. So you got to pay them more. So now your operational cost is going up. Now your profit margin's smaller. Then you start looking at the scope of gas prices, and you're like, oh man, we're actually going to spend more annually on gas this year than we ever have. That's going to eat into my profit margin as well. When stuff starts eating into your profit margin, you're going to look for ways to push against that. You are. Now, you might have to make the really, really hard decision to be like, okay, these two drivers over here, they can only work these days and only in these parts of town, and the return on them's not enough. Like I'm spending more to have them go into these places because they have to drive greater distances, and the gas, they're using more gas for fewer customers, so the calculus on them becomes a loss or becomes a black or becomes a red, and you let them go. Why? When you let them go, you're actually protecting your other employees. You're like, you guys are more cost efficient because of where you go, the clientele that you're able to serve. We make way more money off of you. I'm actually protecting those employees by letting these two guys over here go. That's literally what these companies are staring at. They're staring at, how do we get rid of this so that the rest of this can keep going? Does that example make sense? Like, You're not like greedy and being a scumbag by firing those guys. You're like, listen, man, we are getting hit from all sides. And the gas prices are absolutely a tipping point for us. Like that's literally a tipping point for companies that have to drive around and use lots of gas. It could be a massive, massive tipping point for like letting people go. Because they have to bring their operational costs down. If you guys haven't hit like yet, do me a favor and do that. There's a lot of you here. Smash that like button. Try to get us to 300 likes. And listen, this is what's going to happen. People have probably been hungry and thirsty all week for clips. There are people that will lie and claim everything I just said or portions of what I just said is me defending Sony. These people are liars. I am not defending Sony. I am simply giving you the fuller picture as to why these things are happening. I still don't like it. It still sucks, but this is the reality. This is it. They're like, what do you want us to do? You want us to shoulder all the costs? I mean, they could have kept making physical and charged you $150 for every copy. I mean, that would have been just as bad, if not worse, because then you'd just be pricing people out of physical. A $5 super chat from Street Shadow. I love Astrobot, but the 55% physical for that was only in the UK, and it is not a barometer for the overall trend. I am not defending the decision. I'm just trying to give you a bigger picture as to what's going on. I do not think that this is a symptom of them trying to take from us so that we don't own anything. I think when people say that, they are doing really, really poor coverage. They're not giving you the actual picture as to what's going on. And Plus on Black with a 20 bomb. That's a big one. I think I owe a 5 bomb to YouTube. Yeah, I owe you guys a 5 bomb. Thank you very much. Plus on Black. I'm not trying to do that. But I only have 35 employees. Right. It's a painful decision when you have to do it. Like when you have to like basically say, we got to stop doing this thing or kill this thing because it's not making us money. Like, this is not going to be a painless exchange for PlayStation. It certainly is hurting them. There are people canceling their PS Plus. There are people talking about switching platforms. They're going to switch to PC because they feel like digital is treated better on PC, because it is. Digital is treated better on PC. So if you're going to build a digital-only library, people are like, well, I guess I'll do it over there. Do you know? That's Plus on Block. No, his name is Plus on Black. You literally scared me. I thought I literally like read black into his name because he's a black man. No, his name is literally Plus on Black. I was like, oh, did I accidentally do that? What did you say? Like, that's his name. With prices and no disc, odds of PS6 becoming an Xbox One of next gen. I'd be interested to see how many people bought digital versions this gen. I mean, do we need to talk about the majority of Xboxes sold this gen were Series S's that are digital only? Like, this idea that like if you think the gaming world at large is going to like recoil at digital only, they didn't seem to recoil this gen at all. It's a play on Plus on Block. I play fighting games. I don't play fighting games, so I had no idea why he said that. It's like, huh? What? I don't play fighting games. So I was like, oh, Plus on Black. He's a black homie. He's a brother, so that's what his name is in reference to that, I guess. I don't play fighting games. You know what I mean? I would not get invited to a Street Fighter tournament, but I have a lot of invites to the cookout, and I think that's more important, if I'm honest with you. I think that matters more. When consoles don't have discs, what's the difference from that and a PC? When a PC has multiple storefronts and the diskless console only has one storefront. No, that's totally a fair point. Yes, there are people that are like that. I'm telling you, that's why people are like, I'll just go to PC then. If you're going to funnel me into being digital only, there are people that are like, I'll just go to PC because I would much rather build a digital library over there. Do you see? Like, it's funny that people are like, I'm just going to go to PC, and it's like, well, it's digital there too, right? There's no discs there. But they're like, yeah, but they treat the digital library better. So again, that's one of the reasons people are saying it. Lono, so is the GTA 6 disc still coming? No. We already covered that. You must have missed it. When did I cover that? I think it was earlier this week. If you go to my channel and you go to live, it was right here. GTA 6 physical drama. I basically clarified that day that there would not be any discs, and that apparently Strauss Zelnick and Rockstar, they consider a jewel case physical. That's what they consider a jewel case physical. So they're going to ship you a physical version of the game, and it's a freaking jewel case with a code in it. It's idiotic. They should have just shot straight with people and been like, it just wasn't in the numbers, boys. We're not doing physical. It's, we're not doing it. We didn't want to pass on the rising cost to create physical, items onto the consumer, so we're going with the digital only. Have you tried modern controls in Street Fighter? They're pretty fun. I just don't have a desire to play fighting games. I don't like them. They don't speak to me at all. Like, I can see a really good turn-based game, and it calls to me, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I could get into that. But, like, sports games, racing games, and fighting games, I look at them, and I'm like, it doesn't say, it's like, it does nothing for me. We get a better overall product on console, whereas PC, we get troubleshooting guides. I mean, it's subjective, because you could say that you're getting a better overall product on PC because it's an open platform and you do more with it, you can upgrade it, you can tinker, you can shop and get games without licenses, so your ownership is more genuine. You could argue that you're more protected in your digital purchases because Steam offers refunds within a certain amount of time. There's a lot of reasons why you could argue that the PC is a superior product. It just depends on the person and what they're looking for. J. Murph with 48 months. That's a lot of dadgum months. They need to cut costs or the consumer takes the brunt. If the cost is too high, it'll price people out of the market. Right. That's such a good point, J. Murph. So look at what's happening. This is why I think the Helix... Somebody asked me yesterday on Twitter, they were like, I thought you said the Helix wasn't coming. And I'm like, well, I'm still going to cover claims about the Helix, even though my own personal prediction is that the Helix is on the chopping block and will likely not come to the market. It's going to be too expensive. I think Microsoft will decide it's not worth it. They're going to let Asus make it or something, if it even comes at all. Winged Wheel, thank you so much for gifting one. Like, I think they're going to have a hard time convincing someone like Asus to make it, because I don't think the ROI will be there for Asus. So, like, the rising cost of hardware, okay? What's been the thing that people keep saying? PlayStation 6 is going to be $1,000. PlayStation 6 is going to be $1,000. Now, these same people are going to run around and claim that they're no longer doing physical because they want to steal from you and they don't want you to have any ownership. And it's like, wait a minute. You have to decide which line of reasoning you're going to apply. If the cost of parts going up on the PlayStation 6 means, according to these people, I don't think their predictions are good, but according to them, the PlayStation 6 is going to be $1,000. Why don't you apply that same rigor and that same logic to physical games? If the cost is going up on everything, on raw materials, production, and shipping, then why wouldn't you just say, yeah, physical games are going to be $120 in the future. See, now do you see why they might be trying to get out of making physical games? Because look at what we're seeing with just the cost of like trying to make a PlayStation 6 and how quickly it went up. Like that. And people were looking at like a $600 or $700 PS6, and now it sounds like we're looking like an $800 or a $900 PS6, maybe more. Bartholomew, thank you for your Prime resub. Says, there is also one more area where no physical is going to hurt PlayStation. With constantly rising component prices, by 2028, the PS6 might launch with the price close to $1,000. If that's the case, it becomes a luxury product. Who buys luxury products? The biggest fans. What did Sony just do with this move? Piss off their biggest fans. I don't think that the luxury product appeals to their biggest fans. It appeals to their richest fans. And I don't think those people care. If you have lots of money and you like to buy expensive things and you bought a PS5 Pro and you buy every game that comes out and you buy all the extra goodies and the Ultimate Edition, I don't think those people give a frick about this. They're just going to keep gaming, brother. They're just going to keep gaming. I think they're going to buy it and just keep on playing. I think PlayStation's going to have to position the PlayStation 6 differently than any other console in the history of their consoles. I think that's what it is. €6 super chat. Wait a minute. So the legal contract with AMD is now invalid. Same can be said for PlayStation. Thanks for the super chat. I think they're going to have to position the PlayStation 6 different than any other console in the history of PlayStation. They are not going to be able to position the PlayStation 6 as a generational console. It won't be a generational console. It'll be an extension of their ecosystem. It will be an extension of their platform. PS5, PS5 Pro, handheld that's coming next year, PlayStation 6. There will be an extended, indefinite period of cross-gen support. It'll be indefinite because adoptions of the PlayStation 6 will be slower. The rollout and the sales movement of the PlayStation 6 will be the slowest of any console that they've ever made. These are all the things that they're facing. You got people talking about $1,000 PlayStation 6, and then they want to run conspiracy theories on like why they're ending physical. It's like you don't hear yourself. It's like they're going to have to make the PlayStation 6 $1,000, but they're being greedy and trying to control our digital libraries. That's why they're getting rid of physical. It's like, do you hear yourself? It's like the rising cost of hardware, and you can't noodle this one out. You're like, I can't figure out why they don't want to do physical discs anymore. They thought ahead with PSSR. I think their ability to weather a lot of this will be attributed historically to Mark Cerny. I think people will look back on the history of PlayStation, in 2050. So in like 25 years, I think people are going to look back and be like, Mark Cerny is the reason PlayStation was able to weather a lot of that storm, because he gave them foresight and he gave them elasticity, which you need. And that is going to be one of the deciding factors in companies, in technology companies, hardware companies, surviving going forward. Is you're going to need people like that, because this kind of stuff comes out of nowhere. €6. So you're saying Xbox is pulling out of a legal contract with AMD? Yeah, I think they can. They're Microsoft. I think they can totally adjust, amend, or back out of a contract. Yes. You're saying legal contract. So every contract ever in the history of contracts has never been broken, amended, canceled, terminated. There's probably some kind of a payment to get out of it. Have you ever looked at contracts before in your literal life? Like, they can literally pay to get out of it a lot of the times. They'll pay some kind of a termination fee or something. They're Microsoft, brother. My inner thoughts with the $5 super chat. Why can you logically understand why PlayStation going digital to cut costs, but you can't think the same logic with Xbox Studios? I am applying the same logic with Xbox Studios. I applied this logic when I said that the ABKO deal was a stupid idea. I love how you guys always think you're going to get me in a gotcha when I'm literally the one that said this would happen. I said, you're going to take your operational costs into the stratosphere. You are going to have to bring those operational costs down. You are going to end up shuttering studios, canceling projects, and laying people off. Thank you for catching up with everything I said 3 years ago with your $5 super chat. You think you have me in a gotcha? Brother, I said this was going to happen. It's the same logic. Cost goes up, you gotta cut. You overspend, you overextend, you're gonna have to cut. Like, I know, judging by the tenor of your super chat, you're just now catching up to what's going on. But like, a lot of us said this was gonna happen. A lot of us said the ABK deal was a terrible idea. A lot of us said it wouldn't be good for gamers. It wouldn't be good for the studios. It would lead to downsizing and studio closures. And you know what we were told? We were called haters. We were called ponies. We were told that we were being jealous of, like, all of a sudden Xbox was going to own all this property. You still feeling pretty good about all those predictions? How many talking heads... How many empty talking heads did we have to listen to during the ABK trial talk about how this was going to be good for the consumer, and this was going to be good for the studios, and this was going to be good for gaming? We had to listen to that nonsense for months and months and months. Why don't you go ask them what they think instead of asking me, since I literally said this is what was going to happen? To try to get a gotcha on this? Yeah, I can logically understand why PlayStation has to go digital, because the cost to make the physical items is going up through the dadgum roof because of AI and shipping costs and the cost of raw materials. Yep, I can logically figure that one out. I can also logically figure out the fact that we were told for years that Game Pass was profitable and Xbox was healthy, only to find out, no, they're not. No, they're not. They've been subsidizing. They've been spending through the nose, and now the bills do. Oh, man, that's crazy. That's something that I literally said for years. That there was no way this was profitable. There was no way this was going to work. You're spending more than you're making. Anybody with a basic understanding of business operations knew they were spending more money than they were making, and now the studios are paying the price. So there's your logic. It's the same. It's the same logic. It's the same calculation. Yeah. Rising cost causes cutting. Yep. Sure. This was a self-inflicted wound. PlayStation didn't do this. They didn't make the gas prices go up. They didn't make raw material prices go up. They didn't make this thing happen with AI. Like, they didn't do that. Microsoft did this to themselves. They did this to themselves. That's the difference. PlayStation and all these other tech companies and hardware companies and the developers as well, they're getting hit from all sides. It's a bunch of stuff that they didn't even contribute to, and they're paying the price. Just like Ninja Theory and Compulsion and Double Fine, they're all about to pay the price because Xbox wanted to spend a bunch of money. Yeah, if you're unhappy about the AI situation, I mean, look no further than Microsoft being one of the major culprits in causing some of this. I mean, they are responding to market realities, but they're also stoking the fire. AI is the biggest culprit in the room, and Microsoft's a major player in that regard. $2.50 a euro. Show me Xbox Game Pass is not profitable. They have admitted it. I don't have to show you it's not profitable. They've admitted it. Asha Sharma says we've overextended. They said that putting Call of Duty on Game Pass was too expensive and it had to be removed. We heard from reliable sources it cost them like $300 million. And then Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, said, we've been subsidizing. Do you know what that word means? Do you understand the English language? They have literally admitted it in her memo and in Satya's one interview that he did. It's not been profitable. They've been subsidizing. They've been spending rather than making. Sneakers blew this open when he said They were basically positioning Xbox to Microsoft and making it look better than it was, and then they finally got to look at the books. That's why everybody's mad at Amy Hood, the CFO. They're all mad at her. She gets a look at the books, and she's like, no, what the heck are you guys doing over here? You've been acting like everything's been peachy creamy, and it ain't. Timmy with a Prime resub. Thank you so much. We're a 20 bomb away from 550. Sorcerer with 61 months on YouTube. Thank you. They literally, during the FTC trial, it became known that Game Pass was cannibalizing sales. Another lie that people swallowed and parroted, hook, line, and sinker. No. Game Pass doesn't cannibalize sales. Game Pass increases sales. What? In what universe would that work? I think the phrase is creamy peachy. Homie, you can call your wife, your girlfriend, or your cousin that nobody knows about whatever you want. I'm not saying that. It's peachy creamy. A €6 super chat. Search AI now and we will see. Show where Asha stated that. Show where she stated that they're overextended. She said it in her memo. Go do your own research. I know you're super chatting me all day in an attempt to fanboy. Thanks, dude. I'll buy a bottle of bourbon and put your name on it. But I'm not going to go and do your research for you. She literally said it in the memo that they've overextended themselves. And then Satya, like a week later, said they've been subsidizing. They've not been monetizing. That's literally what they've been doing. They've been spending huge amounts of money. There were leaked emails during the FTC trial that showed how much money they have to give to a third-party developer to put a game on Game Pass. It's absurd what they were spending. It's absurd. There's not a single data point or stat sheet anywhere to show that Game Pass was profitable. They just kept saying it was profitable. Now we find out the division's not profitable. Brother, explain this to me. If Game Pass is so profitable, then why are these studios under threat? Why? Why did we hear that they weren't pleased with how many copies Hi-Fi Rush sold? Why? I want you to figure that out for me if we're giving each other homework. Explain to me, if Game Pass is so profitable with however many people are on it, 30-something million people are on Game Pass. If it's so profitable, these studios should all be totally fine and safe. Right? It stands to reason. I mean, the basic thinking, logical individual could look at this and say, if Game Pass is so profitable, then why are they having to do all this stuff? Why? Wouldn't they all just be swimming in money and doing great? No. These studios are under threat because it's not working. The business strategy is fundamentally broken. They're spending more money than they are making. Go audit an economics course at a community college and you will quickly see how this never was going to work with the slowdown of subscriptions. If they would have gotten to 60 or 70 million subscribers, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't. Everything broke down when they plateaued. They plateaued way lower. If they would have gotten to 60 million, 70 million subscribers and then plateaued and kind of hung out there, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. We're having this conversation because they did not properly protect themselves from churn rates. They did not properly protect themselves from exploits. People were signing up for Game Pass for years for a couple dollars. And people will wait, sign up, play a bunch of games, and cancel. They didn't properly protect themselves, and they didn't realize that the subscriber bubble was going to burst. Everybody was doing subscriptions. Netflix got in while the getting was good, and then Hulu came out, and then Disney Plus came out, and there's Amazon Prime, and people got subscription fatigue, and it had a downstream effect on how many people were willing to sign up and keep Game Pass. So what do? What do? Well, they do what you always do when you plateau on your subscription service. You raise your price. Because there's a percentage of people that will cancel when you raise your price, but there's a percentage of people that won't. So you make the subscription service generate more revenue for you by the click of a button. Boom, yeah, you all have to pay more money now. So people cancel, but if enough people continue to stay, it generates more revenue. Well, what have they done to Game Pass? How many years in a row now? Raise the price, raise the price, raise the price. Why? Because if it's profitable, why would they keep raising the price? That's another question you'd have to answer. If it's profitable, why do they move day and date to Ultimate? Why? If it's so profitable, why have they consistently raised the price? Why do they move day and date to Ultimate? And why are all these studios under threat? If Game Pass is so profitable, none of these things make any sense. You should actually be. This is the grand irony for Xbox fans that trumpeted all this nonsense for years. This is the irony for you. If Game Pass is so profitable, you should be even more furious with what's about to happen. You should be steaming mad, furious, angry, boycott worthy. If Game Pass is profitable, you should be even more mad when these studios close down or get sold or shut down or go through significant layoffs. You should be even more angry. Because if it's so profitable, why would you get rid of the studios and companies and cancel projects and games and things that helped you get to such a profitable state? Pull up where Asha Sharma stated Game Pass is unprofitable. You made the claim, onus is on you. I didn't say she said that. I said they've all but said it. Just go read what they've said. Thank you for the $6 euro. You're bad with your money because you're super chatting somebody that I think you're attempting to troll, which shows how foolish you are. And you don't have good listening skills. I never once said, Asha Sharma stated that Xbox Game Pass is not profitable. I said, they've all but said it. Listen to the words that they've said. And then I quoted her. She said, they're overextended. Satya says, we've not been monetizing, we've been subsidizing. And she, in her open memo, in her open letter, she talks about this. And if it's profitable, then you need to riddle me this, Batman. They are getting rid of studios, canceling projects, and laying people off. That doesn't make sense if Game Pass is profitable. If Game Pass is profitable, there is no reason to even have these conversations. There's no reason these studios should even be under threat. It's not profitable. Nobody with even the most basic business acumen ever thought it was profitable. Everybody that looked at this always kind of raised an eyebrow and was like, how? How? We see the amount of money you spend just to get third-party games on the service. We see the cannibalization effect on sales. We see the claim that when you put Call of Duty on there, you lost $300 million. They literally came out and said they had to take Call of Duty off of Game Pass. They literally said it. Like, that means this isn't working. If you can't put Call of Duty on Game Pass, then the edifice is not structured properly. It's like, this isn't working. You mentioned Disney ETC. The difference with the analogy is Netflix produced exclusive content after the fact. Xbox started from a different position, not to mention acquisitions. Omar, I was simply zooming out on the entire subscription market and saying that one of the reasons Xbox's subscription growth slowed down, one of the reasons, this isn't the only reason, one of the reasons their subscription sign-up slowed down on Game Pass is people got subscription fatigue. Show me the claim is unprofitable or your claim is invalid. $6 euro. Super chat. Show me it's profitable or your claim is invalid. What are you talking about? I'm arguing from statements they've made, documents from the FTC trial, and I'm coming to the conclusion that, according to all these things, it's not profitable, okay? That's an evidential progression. I'm moving through evidence that is accessible right now. A memo from Asha Sharma, statements from Satya Nadella, FTC trial documents that talked about what this did to sales, insider information about the $300 million that it cost them to put Call of Duty on Game Pass, the removal of Call of Duty from Game Pass, the continual increasing of the prices of it, and the movement of day and date to Ultimate. I'm moving through all that evidence, and I'm coming to the conclusion it's not profitable. Where's your evidence to counter mine? You would need counter evidence. I just walked through a bunch of evidence that has led me to the conclusion it's not profitable. If you want me to come to a different conclusion, you need counter evidence. So go for it. Where did I make the claim? You're making the claim that what I'm saying isn't true. So then the opposite would have to be true. Do you understand antithesis? Like, you're arguing the antithesis. You're saying, hey man, you're saying it's not profitable. Prove it. I just walked through a bunch of evidence to come to the conclusion that it's not profitable. If you think I'm wrong, you would have to provide counter evidence to compel me to a different conclusion. Walk me through another one. Banning people because they disagree with him is childish. I'm not going to ban him. He's not insulted me once. He's not insulted Chad. If he wants to troll me with money, that's his own choice. Sometimes I engage with people like that because I know there's a bunch of people, sitting in the shadows who think the same thing. So I'm happy to counter and contradict the things he's claiming because there's plenty of people that agree with him that won't, have the stones to say anything in chat about it. So trot out counter evidence, or I'm compelled that it's not profitable. That's what I have been compelled by the evidence available in the public that Game Pass is not profitable. If you would like to compel me to a different conclusion, then you would need to provide counter evidence. You've not done that. My inner thought says if Game Pass causes studio closure, then what's PlayStation's reason? I mean, a lot of the PlayStation studios that they closed, either closed because, I think 3 or 4 of them were VR and mobile studios, and we all know what happened there. A lot of the mobile game stuff dried up and wasn't working or making a lot of money, and the VR stuff also dried up. There wasn't a lot of money and a lot of sales from VR. A lot of those game companies, a lot of those studios closed because of that. Like, the studio closures that PlayStation has closed, there's at least 3 or 4 of them that are either a VR studio of 10 to 20 people or a mobile studio. So their closures are not even remotely comparable to what's happening with Xbox. You guys, I appreciate the money. It's funny that you think you've got these gotchas and these whataboutisms because you haven't done any research. You haven't. If you did any research at all, you would know that bringing up the studios that PlayStation has closed is not even remotely comparable. It's embarrassing that you think it is. It's embarrassing. It just proves to me you watch just vapid airhead content if you think that's a comparable thing. Quit watching empty talking heads that know nothing. It's like you're literally watching people that are filling your head with lies. It's not comparable. This is going to be an unprecedented moment in the history of gaming. Just like the acquisition was an unprecedented moment in the history of gaming, it's not comparable. The whataboutisms just show you don't know what you're talking about. A super chat from this guy again. Where did I say it was profitable? A quick search of AI will show you. Oh, a quick search of AI. Wow. I never said that you said it was profitable. You're claiming that my claim is false. You don't seem to understand. You don't understand antithesis. You don't even understand what's happening. We're having a dialogue, okay? It's an exchange of ideas. I put forward that Game Pass is not profitable, and you claim that that's false. If it's false, then the antithesis would be true. So if my claim that it's not profitable is false, the antithesis would then be true. Game Pass is profitable. Ergo, your claim is that it's profitable. How hard is this to understand? $12 super chat. Asha Sharma did not say Game Pass is unprofitable. Rather, she stated in an internal memo that the service has become too expensive for players. Do your research. I never said that she stated it was unprofitable. I said she spoke in her memo in a way that I take as evidence it's not profitable, along with all the other evidence I walked through. You are having a really hard time. You're literally spending money to run in a circle. You're running in a circle, brother. You're making me feel bad even accepting your super chats now. Like, you don't even feel like you're able to, I don't even feel like you're able to do this. Like, you're not capable of doing this. That evidence supports Lono? Yeah, if it's becoming too expensive for players, that again, it's not just her saying they're overextended. I'm taking her statement about being overextended, and what did she say? This cannot continue. She said something like that as well. There was another thing she said about, like, this cannot continue. She said, we have found ourselves overextended. Going forward, this cannot continue. I take her statement, I take Satya's statement about them subsidizing and not monetizing. I take the internal FTC documents about it cannibalizing sales. I take the insider information that they lost $300 million putting Call of Duty on Game Pass. I take the fact that Call of Duty's been ripped from it. I take the fact that they moved day and date to Ultimate. I take the fact that they've raised the price on Ultimate twice and then price anchored it down to 23. All of those things point to me and say, it's not profitable. You keep drilling down on the fact that Asha Sharma didn't explicitly state it, and you're not listening to all the other things I just stated. It's like your ears go ee whenever I say all those other things. She didn't say it's raining outside, but she walked in with a wet umbrella. Right. There's so many pieces of evidence that point to the fact that Game Pass is not profitable. I'm walking through all that evidence, and you're ignoring it. You're just drilling down on, well, Asha Sharma didn't say it. Again, logically speaking, you haven't answered this question. If Game Pass is so profitable, why would they need to be getting rid of studios and worried about the fact that these studios are not selling enough copies? Why? If Game Pass is profitable, we shouldn't be having this conversation. They should be eating good. Logically, it makes sense. It's like, wait. It's not profitable. That's why they're having to do all these things. It's why they're having to raise the price. It's why they had to remove Call of Duty. It's why they've had to continue to raise the price. It's why these studios are under threat. Why? Because the thing that is central to the brand and the thing that all these studios were feeding is not profitable. Like, think about it from a philosophical standpoint. Like, if everybody's putting into the same pot, they're all putting into the same pot, and that pot's profitable, then any philosophical theory of labor would tell you that these studios should be reaping the benefits of contributing to the thing that is profitable. This is so logical, brother. It's hurting me that I have to explain it so many times. It's like, if they're all contributing to the big machine and the machine is profitable, then they all should be reaping the benefits of that, and they're not. Why? Easy conclusion. It's not profitable. Izzy with 2 months. Evidence says Game Pass is profitable on its own accounting, but the real profit picture depends heavily on how Microsoft assigns costs internally. But as I just said, they're all feeding it, which means they all should benefit from it being profitable, and they're not. Never in the history of the world did a corporation ever say this cannot continue over something that was profitable. Never, ever, never, ever. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Jack Garland. She is literally talking in her memo about the division and how they're overextended, this can't continue. And Satya says we've been subsidizing and not monetizing. That's all you need. Those two pieces of the puzzle are it. And there's plenty more evidence available. There's plenty more evidence. Destroyer, thank you so much for subscribing over there on Purple, and 7 months. Thank you. It's more like the Peanuts teacher. Wah, 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 wah. I hope this makes it profitable for them. It saved me and my kids tons of money. Oh, the value for the consumer was so insane. The value is unmatched. It's absolutely absurd. Right now, you could wait until December, Freeze. You could wait until December and say, Merry Christmas, $23, Ultimate Game Pass, and your kids could play Gears of War E-Day and Forza and Halo Campaign Evolved. Like, these huge, super expensive pieces of property, and it can cost you $23. And you could do it for 2 months. You could spend $46. You could spend 3 months and spend $69. And guess what? You've just now gotten to the point of the cost of one game, and you've had it for 3 months. and you can just play thousands of dollars worth of games. The value is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Here's what I think they thought. They thought if we make the value so big and so enormous, it will be like this big giant flame, and like moths to flame, everybody's going to come and want to be on Game Pass. You'd be stupid not to be on Game Pass, right? Like, they're all going to come in. But it made it top heavy, and it's toppled over because the value was so high that it ended up falling in and folding in on itself. It's like, well, yeah, that's an insane amount of value, but that also means that people can abuse it. And people can subscribe and cancel. And customer spending, if people are only buying 3 to maybe 5 games a year, you're almost giving them a fire hose when all they need is a bucket. It's like, to put out the fire of their desire and demand for games, they just need like a bucket, you know? Yeah, 3 games, 5 games, that'll douse this fire. I'll feel satisfied as a customer 3 to 5 games a year. And you're like, but what if we gave you a fire hose? What do you mean? Well, you can get games every day and month for the whole year. And it's like, I don't need that many games. What? Like, it's almost too much. If you really think about it, it's almost too much value. It's overwhelming. It's like, and what does that do? It causes the consumer to either recoil, or they started using Game Pass the way I just described. They're like, well, I only buy a handful of games a year, so I'll only sign up for Game Pass every once in a while. The consumer behavior sort of adapted to the insane value in a way that wasn't good for Xbox. A $10 super chat from Seth. Monsters. I think they are discovering that Sony was right. It's better to money hat a game than to buy the dev. If Game Pass is to continue, I would expect to see them shift to that. It's cheaper for Xbox in the long run. Well, recent reports are showing that no, I don't even think they want to do that. They're even shying away from that. They're shying away from paying the big money to have the third party. I told people that was going to happen. I was like, I think you're going to see less and less of the big third-party offerings and the big third-party games at Game Pass. I said, I think you're going to see it happen less often because the money isn't there for them. They're paying large amounts of money while actively not the subservice isn't growing. A $12 super chat. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer has publicly reiterated multiple times that the service is profitable, stating that that it accounts for roughly 10 to 15% of Xbox's overall content and services revenue. Yeah, and I don't think he was telling the truth. I think he was fudging the numbers. I think Sneakers SO explained this in one of his leaks. In one of his leaks, he explained that like Phil and the Xbox team was positioning things in a way to look better than they were to Microsoft. And the jig is up. Bill came due. Phil's gone. And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons. What's interesting is, boy, oh boy, are you really in the thick of it now. Because you've been really harping on the fact that new leadership is here. Asha's here. She's gonna clean all this up and fix all this. Yeah? You ever think the fact that she's coming in and cleaning things up and having to lay people off and shutter studios because what Phil said wasn't accurate? And the bill came due? Like, take what Phil said and then take what Asha said. Who do you think's telling the truth? Who? Phil says Game Pass is profitable. Phil's gone. And now, new leadership says we're overextended and that can't continue. And Satya says, we've not been monetizing, we've been subsidizing. So you're saying Xbox is not profitable? I don't have to state that. That's like a matter of public record now. Somebody said that recently in one of their reports. Throughout the entire history, it's almost never been profitable. Yeah, it's not a profitable division. What do you mean? What do you mean? Satya Nadella literally said that. If he said we were subsidizing and not monetizing, he's literally saying that. They're not profitable, brother. The gaming division of Xbox, no. It isn't. Like, they were... Again, I really do start to feel bad for people like you. You've been watching people who have been selling you lies. They've been selling you a bill of goods. They have been subsidized for a super, super, super long time. They were going to shut the division down. Like, oh my gosh. I really do start to feel bad for people like you. I feel like you've been completely propagandized and misled by people. You literally have. You've been listening to the wrong voices, brother. If they're so profitable, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be staring down and teetering on the precipice of record layoffs and studio closure. If they were profitable, none of this makes sense. You don't do this when you're profitable. Yeah, the 3% is outside of ABK. Like, the number is so low. Like, I think there was even financial analysts that were looking at that and they were like, that's catastrophic. Another guy who doesn't understand revenue and profit. It's exhausting, isn't it? Ghost in Garage Gaming. Your phone is being weird. Exhaudiating. Like, what the heck? Someone got farmed? Like, I think one of the reasons I got myself in a lot of hot water during ABK is because I took swings at people. Now, some of it was sneak disses, but some of it was straight up swings at people. And I think these people have a lot to answer for. I'm going to be real with you. They have a lot to answer for. Now they want to go out here and do performative, all this performative virtue signaling and empathy, and all this is so bad for the consumer, and what a tragedy for all these people. And it's like, you know what? Why don't you shut the frick up? Like, you literally walked out here and told people stuff, and twisted stuff, and obfuscated, and misrepresented, and parroted talking points, and now you want to do like performative boo-hooing because of what's happening? Man, be quiet. Why don't you sit down and be quiet? Thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of viewers and listeners got shoveled BS for the past 3 years from people. And it's like, and now we're all just supposed to be like, yeah, let's just do performative empathy and sadness because this is so bad. Yeah, all the stuff you cheered for and said was going to be great turned out to not be great. Zero accountability. None. When I get something wrong, I make a video. Got it wrong. I was wrong about that. I missed that. I predicted that one wrong. Yeah, we said thus and so. It wasn't true. Let's correct that. It's just a joke, man. Just a frickin' joke. Generated massive public support for this, knowing what the outcome would be. It's a joke. It is. The way it was covered was a joke, and then guys like me, you go after me and malign me and attack me and all that. Just embarrassing. Embarrassing behavior. I don't think people understand that not all revenue is profit. As someone in management, staff always says, well, we made this much money, not accounting for overhead, rent, property taxes, the list goes on. Oh, for sure. For sure. Nobody predicted the Sony disc removal. We can all firmly say we were wrong. We didn't see that. I don't know, bro. I don't know when and where, but I kept telling people when they took the disc drive off, they started selling a digital-only PlayStation. I was like, yeah, I think I think we're heading to digital-only at some point. Now, I didn't think it was going to be this fast, but I'm pretty sure there was a handful of times I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're heading to digital-only, boys. And I got told no, no, no. There's pockets of the world where there's lots of physical still selling. And I said, you know what? You're right. It'll probably take a long time. It's not taking a long time. I think, Soy, here's the thing. I think we all sensed it and knew it. I just think we thought it was a long time from now. It was like, oh yeah, it'll be, 20 years from now or something. €6. What type of profit are you referring to? There's 3 types. You've demonstrated such a large amount of intelligence today. Please, Professor, tell us about the 3 types of profit. Can't wait. I was surprised after some kept saying that they have an option and still invested in so much physical. I don't remember when I said this, but I distinctly remember somebody being like, why did you switch to digital? Because we were talking about this, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is months ago. And I was like, yeah, I've been digital only for a while. And I remember somebody being like, well, why wouldn't you buy physical? And something about wanting to give them down, like hand them down to my kids or something. And I said, well, with Bat Compat, my concept of a library, digital library continuity, is that I will be able to maintain this library. That obviously is my hope. A 5 super chat from Rissick. Does this mean the PS6 will be out 2028? I believe so, yes. I believe this is a big, big, loud signal that the PlayStation 6 is 2028. I think it's fourth quarter 2028. I haven't owned an Xbox since the 360 era, but I still root for them. Healthy competition between Sony and Microsoft is good for all gamers. Well, and the real dilemma and issue is, that they haven't been great competition for them for a while. Like that's the issue. Is it's like, well, yeah, the competition is good. They haven't been great. They haven't been good for competition. Like, they haven't been a good competitor. That was the whole thing, like, let us compete. And I remember being like, take the $70 billion and save it and spend half of it and invest in your studio. Shore up talent. Work on your games. Like, the acquisition was not a way to compete. Like, I want you to really think about what happened. Let us compete. How? Spending all this money. Yeah, but if you do that, you're going to end up having to really become more of a publisher because you're going to take your operational costs too high. You're going to get into a software strategy. Nuh-uh. That was basically the argument. Like, let us spend all this money so that we can publish games on PlayStation? Like, do you see why it was so backwards and so upside down? It was like, you want to compete with PlayStation by spending an exorbitant amount of money and having to publish games on PlayStation? What? It doesn't... You have to see, like... I really, truly think that there were two things happening at the exact same time. I think Phil really thought that, like, ZeniMax and exclusives were going to get them back in the fight. It's why when they did the ZeniMax acquisition, he talked about getting more exclusives where Game Pass lives. And in that famous email, he tells ZeniMax, all of your future games are exclusive, to the point that Tim Stewart, the CFO, was like, wow, all? What? So much for case by case, right? They get ABK, they put Call of Duty on Game Pass, and that broke his neck. That was the end. I think Satya was like, no, we tried it your way, Phil. We bought these studios, we shored up this library, and we put our biggest offering on Game Pass, and we lost a bunch of money. You're out of here. Right around the time they realize they've got to get Call of Duty off of Game Pass, they price anchor, so you celebrate the price going down while they simultaneously take their biggest piece of property off of Game Pass. Then Phil's gone, Asha comes in, she's got to clean up the mess. It's like, I think two things were happening. Satya saw all that property and thought, publishing. He said it in that one meeting. He said, we can do the thing we've always wanted to do. Publish games on all platforms. A $6 euro, 3% accountability margin means Xbox is still technically profitable. Xbox is generating roughly 3 cents of profit for every dollar spent. The 3% accountability margin is, again, shuffling things around to even get there. Like, brother, you got to let this one go, man. You got to let this one go. It's just, you got to stop. I need you to stop. You're spending your money to say these things, and you don't need to. Like, Nitro with a 23-month resubscription. Thank you so much. 23 months. What's good? Great time to watch a show. Gaming is about to explode this fall. It is. AI says that Asha said Game Pass is not sustainable. Yeah, didn't she say that in an interview? It's become too expensive for the players and noted that a massive 50% price hike led to subscriber churn and failing revenue. Yeah, because it wasn't profitable. Like, they raised the price so much that people canceled in larger numbers than they typically did. That's your tipping point. Like, when that happens, now you're in trouble, because now you can't do the slow squeeze where you just keep raising the price on your existing subs. You're actively driving the subs away. So you're literally killing it at that point. You're giving it like the squeeze of death. So, like, no, it's not profitable. Like, and the 3% accountability margin is literally, they literally have to finagle things to even get that number. That number is, again, there were multiple articles and analysts that spoke out about this. That is catastrophic for a company that size to spend that amount of money and get that level of return. Not only that, to spend that amount of money and get that level of return, like, these studios are closing, and that's part of the reason. That's literally part of the reason, man. Like, they're not in a good place. Like, I'm just genuinely curious. I don't even know how you've super chatted like over $100 today, and for what? Like, why? What are you defending at this point? I don't understand what some of you guys are even loyal to. I don't even think you're loyal to Xbox anymore. I think you're loyal to the fight. You've fallen in love with the fight more than the brand. Because what is the brand at this point? What is it? I mean, what is there to be loyal to? Fake roadmaps and lies? Showcases that that age like milk? Like, what are you even loyal to at this point? I don't even get it. I don't. I think you guys you love the fight more than the brand. You're like, this is fun to fight. It's fun to super chat and make Reforge, rant and argue. Like, you enjoy that more than the frickin' brand, I think. Like, I think I've made more money off of Xbox fans than Xbox has, because they come in here and try to get memberships or super chat or watch or help the channel, or I'm probably making better money off of the Xbox fans than Xbox. No loyalty, but the new Forza was really fun. It's just such a shame that they couldn't have a bunch of games at Forza's quality. If Forza 5 and 6 weren't like bookending so much mediocrity, just how unfortunate. How unfortunate. They've bookended just a bunch of mediocrity. Forza 5 kind of kicks off the gen, and then Forza 6 is kind of landing at the end of the gen, and they're bookending just they're bookending like Motorsport and Redfall and Starfield and Halo Infinite. It's what a shame. What an absolute shame. Wasn't the Forza Horizon game in Australia quite good? I'm not sure which that one was. Forza Horizon 5 and Forza Horizon 6 are stellar games. They're so good. They're very high quality. People have really liked them. High praise, high reviews. One of the highest reviewed games of the year. You know, it's just such a shame. 10 pounds from Zetfurious says he thought it was good sport because some men aren't looking for anything logical. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or good arguments. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Call of Duty costs upwards of $450 to $700 million. At 3%, that's a return of $14 to $21 million. Yikes. They don't... Yeah, Ghost, like... I missed a word and it sounded dumb. We all know what you meant. And we appreciate you anyway. You made a good effort. Just super chat another 10 pounds and try again. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. It says here in your contract you have to super chat again for every typo. So I'm gonna make a lot of money off people that are super chatting and driving. They're like, oh, I fat fingered it. Shoot. Oh. Golly. ABK makes quite a bit of money, I recall. Well, here's the dilemma. Generating revenue is great. Making profit is better. Because the more profit you make, the more there is for reinvestment, growth. Like, you've got surplus, right? Maybe like you made way more than you expected, and so then you're more solvent and you're more secure. Like what happened with Arrowhead and Helldivers 2 is like a really, really good example. They could have ruined themselves. Arrowhead could have pulled a Bungie. Oh my gosh, we're making so much money. Let's spend it and hire and get really big. And the CEO was like, we're not going to do that. So there's a bunch of people right now that will probably be able to continue to work at Arrowhead for a long time. Why? Because they were smart. They were careful. They were prudent. Bungie's the opposite. Bungie made a ton of money and we're like, let's spend it. And so they expand and they hire and they expand and they hire. And then the money dries up. So that's why razor thin margins are terrifying for studios that size. They're terrifying because it's like, oh my gosh, it takes so much to operate. Like, think about it from this perspective. If you're making a 3% profit margin and inflation is outrunning your profit margin, you're not really profitable. Does that make sense? Like, you're in bad shape. Oh yeah, what was your profit that year? 3%. What's inflation? 8%. I don't know what the inflation is. I'm just throwing a number out. Do you see? Like if your profit margin can't even outrun inflation, you're in a really, really bad spot. Oh, they're profitable. What? I don't even know if they're making enough to outrun inflation. This feels similar to the video game crash of the 80s. I was too young. I don't even know what that looked like. People always refer to it, but my savings account's more profitable than Xbox. Yeah, somebody talked about that. Somebody's like, they could have put this money in the hands of, I don't know, any financial advisor, and they could have just invested it in the most basic like account where your earn rate is like 6% or something. Like, I don't even know. I forget where I read that. There was a guy that was like, they could have just done this with the money and made more money. You could have just put it in some kind of a trust, or I'm not a money guy. I don't even know the terms to use. I remember reading a guy that said that. They could have just put it in something like this and gotten a yield of like 5 or 6%. I was like, Jiminy Christmas. Saving accounts get like 4. Yeah, that's not even playing the market. I'm pretty sure S&P is 10. Yeah, I think that's what it was. They're like, S&P returns like 10. What is going on over there? Golly. That's why I said, like, everybody's having a go at Amy Hood, but like she gets in the room and she's like, what are we doing over here? 3%? Like we could have made a lot more out of this money. Now, again, I think the plan was we'll eventually see that 3 turn into a 6, turn into a 12, turn into like it'll compound. Because if they would have seen the growth with the subscriber base, that margin just starts to go up because you're spending the same amount of money to feed Game Pass while actively getting more subscribers. Does that make sense? Like that, I think that's what they thought. Is like, well, yeah, it's exorbitant right now, but no, don't worry, the volume will make up for it. Because when you get to 60-something million subscribers, you're spending the same amount to keep Game Pass fed, but more people are coming and eating. That I think was the plan. We will literally make it up in volume. I'm not being facetious. They literally were going to make it up in volume, and the volume never showed up. It's like a content creator putting 40 hours of work into a week, right? And they're giving it 40 hours, and they're making enough money to like break even, like their bills are paid for, right? But then they get more subscribers. They get more ad revenue. Well, they're still working 40 hours a week, but now they start to make more profit. Why? Because their channel is growing. The same principle applies in content creation. Back in the day, when I started, my wife and I lived in a duplex. Our cost of living, I laugh now when I think about it. I think our rent was $600. $600. I was like, I cannot believe how low our rent was. We paid an extra $100 because we had cats. So it was like $500, but it was like $600 because of the cats. So like what I needed to make as a content creator was not very much. It's like, we had one baby. We had a duplex. We had very, very minimal amount of bills that we had to pay. Well, that was 10 years ago, right? So like cost of living's gone up. I now have a mortgage. I'm not paying rent. I'm paying for a house, right? So like all those things are going up, but I also have a larger channel. I have, now you invest that money back into the business. You invest in things like coffee and equipment and everything else. Like it's not that simple. You're not just like, oh man. So like my cost of living has gone up. My bills have gone up. My kids are older and they have braces and everything else. So this is thankfully by the actual grace of God, we are doing well enough that I'm good and my family is provided for. But as an example, if we plateaued here and just stayed here and never grew again ever, and my videos just never got any more views and just kind of flatlined, and then my cost of living continued to go up, and now I've got a car I got to get for my kid, and I got to think about college. Well, what's going to happen? Well, now I'm in trouble. That's kind of like the example here. It's like they could have continued to grow Game Pass and been like, oh, this is great. We're making money. The problem they're facing is they didn't. They plateaued. And while they plateaued, the cost to run the studios went up. They went out and bought a bunch of studios. So now their operational spending went through the roof. Like me going from a duplex to a house. My spending went up when I did that. Do you see? Like, they literally did that. They went out and bought a bunch of property, and so their monthly bill is higher now to run. And if they're not having the growth and the money's not coming in, they're in trouble. Please look up Microsoft's earning release, fiscal year 25, quarter 4. Show where it shows Xbox was not profitable, full year of earnings. Show me where you can't show me they were profitable because they hide it all. It's all obfuscated. Microsoft's earnings, you can't figure out you cannot figure it out. It's all hidden from us. We don't know. They have come out and told us that it's not profitable, brother. You're just not listening. Your inability to listen is your own fault. She says they're overextended, it can't continue. Satya says they're subsidizing and not monetizing. He said there are YouTube channels that have made more money on Xbox games than we have. You're not paying attention. The division is not profitable. Anybody with the inside scoop on this has continued to say they've not been profitable for a while. They weren't profitable when they were considering killing the division. If they were profitable, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You're not applying logic. You aren't. You're so desperate for a win. You're so desperate for a gotcha. You're taking breaks from super chatting me, and you're going to AI, and you're trying to figure this one out. Brother, it's all there. It's clear as day that the division is in serious trouble. He said that about YouTube channels. He said that more money has been made on YouTube off of Xbox games than we have made, or something like that. Satya himself said 3% profit. They could have put that money into a high-yield savings and done better. 3% is not good in business. And even the 3% accountability is, again, that's with them shifting things around. If they were profitable and they were doing well, we literally wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be. That's why the whataboutisms with the studio closures is so bad faith. It's so disingenuine. It's literally a form of deception to run with that narrative out there. People out here running with that narrative, and it's like, but it's not comparable because you're talking about a 10-person studio working on a mobile game or a 20-person studio working on a VR game. This is completely and utterly different. This is catastrophic. This is, we spent so much money, the return is so paltry, so small, so non-existent. We've got to literally take these companies to the threshing floor. So it's like you sitting here fighting for some image that they're profitable. Why would you, again, wouldn't that make you more mad? Show me where Xbox and Game Pass is not profitable. I'm going to the official Microsoft earnings releases. And you can't find any data point. You can't find any data point that says that Xbox is profitable. You can't. And that should make you more mad. If Xbox is profitable, if Game Pass is profitable, then what's about to happen should make your blood boil, because it doesn't make any sense then. If they're doing well and they're profitable, like, why would they be doing the things that they're doing? They hit all the numbers. You can't even go find a line item that says, here's the operational budget of Xbox, here's the revenue generation of Xbox, here's the profit. This dude is arguing with his wallet at this point. Let me hold something, play it. Let's. Soy Pogger says 3% doesn't outpace inflation or the Treasury bond rate. That is losing money. Okay, how's this? I'm not saying Xbox is not profitable, but Microsoft sure is acting like Xbox is not profitable. I think there is significant evidence to come to the conclusion that it's not profitable. I think there's significant evidence. You want me to find a specific statement, email, or earnings call where they say it's not profitable? They have said plenty for me to come to that conclusion. And I've continued to say this to you. You need counter evidence to everything that I've said, and you've presented none. Zombie Universe says Xbox revenue specifically increased 9% in quarter 4, while operation costs raised 9% as well, and hardware sales decreased 25%. Xbox is not profitable. It was outpaced by inflation. Satya and Asha are axing studios or maybe selling the IPs or selling Xbox, all indicators of a healthy company. Right, like you're not staring at this straight-faced. Is it true PlayStation's closing discs? Yeah, there are entire production lines and stuff that have been shifted. Yeah, it's official. It's true. It's happening. I spent about 2 days covering it, yesterday and the day before. Time to switch to Xbox from PlayStation. By all accounts, Xbox is doing the same thing. Very reliable sources that have continued to cover and leak things from Xbox. Tom Warren of The Verge, Bloomberg, Schreier from Bloomberg, Jez Corden of Windows Central. They're all saying that Xbox is doing the same thing. They're going to go digital only. Because they're all internally looking at the rising costs of raw materials and production, and they're like, we're not doing this anymore. Did you book GTA 6? I'm not sure what you mean. I've not pre-ordered GTA 6 yet, no. Out of $25 billion they make a year, they only get $600 million in profit. That's not sustainable. There's no way Helix is going to have a disk drive. I continue to say I don't even know if Helix is going to make it to the market because the calculus on it has to be getting terrible every day. It has to be getting terrible. So think about how everybody's worried about the PlayStation 6, right? The PlayStation 6. Oh, it's going to be super expensive. Okay. The PlayStation 6, we know their goal is make it at scale, sell it at scale, sell a ton of them. We know Helix was going to likely sell way less. I think it just stands to reason. The way they were talking about it and the way they were positioning it, you know, their hardware sales are so down, hardware confidence is so down, a premium Helix was going to not sell a ton of units. So now they're looking at selling fewer units and the cost per unit's going up. I literally think Helix is on the chopping block. That's why Matt Ball did an interview recently and said they're rethinking the whole thing. They're rethinking the entire thing with respect to Helix. And if they're going to go to Asus and be like, hey, can you make it? You know, well, we already ordered the parts, or we're in contract for the parts. We're going to pay for the parts. Can you make it? I think places like Asus are going to say no as well because they're dealing with the same thing. It's like, we're going to make it and not make our money back because you're going to have to charge too much and then people won't buy them. €12 to respond to Zombie. Zombie, you miss that Xbox content and services revenue increased 16% driven by the impact of Activision Blizzard acquisition and Xbox Game Pass. Revenue is not profit. Yeah, he's having a hard time. How much money has this guy donated today? I don't even know. I really don't. Show me PlayStation's net income profit. You could pull their recent earnings and get it yourself. It's all a matter of public record. It's a matter of public record. They're having their most profitable generation that they've ever had. Even with the impairment loss on PlayStation. Even with the impairment loss on PlayStation, their numbers are looking good. They just did all this. It's all a matter of public record. PlayStation doesn't hide any of it. This is why the frustration with Xbox, to me, runs so deep. PlayStation stuff is public record. They literally generate the most revenue and profit for Sony. Like they're the biggest position for them. This is all public, brother. It's all public. That's the frustration with Xbox. It's like you listen to YouTubers and podcasters that mislead you, and then all the Xbox's stuff, you can't find it. Neither Sony or Microsoft provide that. That is false and untrue. All of the Sony reportings are public. You can go look at the profit and how successful PlayStation's being right now. It's a matter of public record. Microsoft hides all of Xbox's stuff. You can't see any of it. We have no idea. Creature's telling you Xbox is hidden behind Azure and 365. You can't see Xbox as its own line item. It's not possible. It's not public. Sony has it all. You can go look at everything. Like I end up feeling bad for people like you. I'm telling you, you have been misled. You're either in here in bad faith just trying to stir up trouble with joke's on you, brother. You provided us with entertainment, conversation, and money. If that's your goal, you're failing in that regard. If that's not your goal and you're here and you genuinely believe these things, I'm telling you, man, you've been misled. You have been sold a bill of goods. What do I have to gain by saying any of these things? What do I have to gain by saying these things to you? Other than that you continue to super chat me, which you don't have to do. You can just type in the chat. I've said many times that you should stop. Companies only share public data if it's positive. Companies with negative data usually stay quiet. Also not true for publicly traded companies. You can't do that. If you're a publicly traded company, that is literally illegal. Like, you can't do that. You can't hide your numbers. We're just not going to report. What the frick? You'd get sued by your shareholders. 60. I have. Show me where Sony provides net income and profit. I'm not going to show you that. It's a matter of public record. You right now can go look it up yourself. I'm not doing that for you. Sony literally does earnings calls and earnings reports. You can go find them right now, brother. I'm not doing it for you. It's available. That's like asking me to look up the weather in your city. No, go look it up yourself. It's there. AOZ is telling you, just look under Game and Services segment on their financial reports. It's public, brother. I'm not doing it for you. I don't care how much you super chat me. I'm not your errand boy. Go do it yourself. If you spent half the time super chatting me today researching this stuff, you would know that you have completely made a buffoon of yourself. I have. You all are lying. Oh, yeah, we're lying. Sure. The Game and Services segment of their financial reports is not publicly available. It is publicly available, brother. Good Lord. Listen, even the most ardent Xbox fanboy would tell you, you have to stop. You are so incredibly wrong right now. Only shows Sony PlayStation's net income profit. What? That's what you were asking for. You were asking for Sony Play. That's what you were asking for. He just retracted it. Okay. Listen, how old is his account? His account's 10 years old. Homie, I don't want to ban you. I don't. You haven't been disrespectful. You haven't insulted anybody. I don't want to ban you. Please stop super chatting. Stop. Don't super chat me anymore. I genuinely don't feel good about taking your money. I'm genuinely asking you. This is not reverse psychology. Man to man, person to person. Please stop super chatting. It only shows Sony's net income and profit. No, there's an entire division within Sony's reporting that shows PlayStation and what they've made in that gaming division. You can't get that with Xbox. You cannot. It's not the same. You are quite literally incorrect about this. You are incorrect. I can't block him from super chatting. It's not possible. I've literally asked him multiple times to stop. You can just chat, brother. I'll reply to you. You don't have to super chat to get a reply to me. I will. Thank you. Seriously, homie, you're factually not correct. PlayStation's reporting is as crystal clear. You can see it all. You can see it, okay? You cannot see it for Xbox. They are not equal in their reporting. They're not. You are factually incorrect about this. I'm not lying to you. I am not misleading you. I've got people here that work at Sony, and they're telling you, homie, they're telling you, brother, that you can go see it all. It's all there. You can't do it with Xbox. That's been one of the frustration points. You put the link in chat. I can't see it, Ghost. It got filtered by YouTube, probably. This has been a frustration point for everybody who attempts to cover these companies from a financial segment. It's frustrating for them because you can't see the line items. You have no idea what it costs Xbox to operate, what Game Pass costs to operate. We have none of that. It's all hidden and obfuscated. It's like you go to look at their reporting and it's like, well, they're just tacked on to this other stuff. So it's like, well, yeah, we don't know. Yeah, they're profitable. They're getting a ride on the coattails of Azure, however you pronounce it. Sony only provide PlayStation operating income. No net income or profit. That is a fact. Okay. Whatever you think, whatever it is that you've bought into, you win. I'm out. You win. You're right. Xbox is profitable, Game Pass is profitable, and PlayStation reports its earnings the same way Xbox does. There, you win. I'm done. This has become pointless and fruitless and unproductive. Thank you for the $10 super chat, Charles Freeman. Weather, please. I actually do want to check the weather because tomorrow's the 4th of July. It's 90, and it's looking like tomorrow's going to be a scorcher. But the rain might cut it a little bit, but it'll bring that humidity. This is the strategy, win by exhaustion. It totally is a strategy. It is. I've been in these discussions before, and people will feign misunderstanding and they will feign stupidity so that you just give up. And they'll be like, got him, I win. And it's like, yeah, you certainly did. $250 tomorrow. A $20 super chat from AOZ. My two, you are making this personal. There are many of us in this industry patiently waiting in the calm of the storm, and you are trying to paint an armchair story that's fake. Record layoffs are hitting Xbox. Bad times. Stream with Madam tomorrow. Stream with Madam tonight, because tomorrow's the 4th of July. I put the link in the Discord. Oh, so Ghost put the PDF in the Discord. No, we're going to stream tonight. And if you guys hit the stretch goal, I don't even know what we do. You have a half an hour to hit stretch. Yeah, they've got gaming and network services. And they've got music, they've got pictures, they've got entertainment. They have it separated. I don't know what to tell you. Operational income is, operating income is in here. It's all here. $250. Look it up if you don't believe me. Okay. Could you read the Xbox financial info if Microsoft were to spin Xbox off into a more independent business? Yes, that's why one of the things I was kind of hoping would happen is they would spin off Xbox into a subsidiary, and then we get to see those things. Yes, that would be excellent. It would be so interesting to finally get a look at the operational costs of Xbox, their revenue, and their alleged profit. Operating income is not net income. Nobody said it was. I was just reading off things from the PDF that was reported there. We should get a 4th of July stream, bring up a green screen, and just have a flag waving in the background. Voltron says, take Super Chat guy to the bank. Joran says, you have incredible patience. It's too early to be drunk, says Jaggy. Yeah, usually what we do, so you guys do have time. If you want to rally the big boys to get this to 750, that's probably going to be tough. That's like 200 members. This is what we'll do. Madam and I react to gaming news. We will do that tonight. There might be some red hot burning gaming news because this afternoon, evening, it might be when they pull the trigger on these layoffs and studio closures. They like to do this sort of thing on a Friday, okay? So, Anyways, if you guys hit the 750, we'll just do a double header, and after we're done reacting to gaming news, we could play games with you guys, we could do a community game night, we could have Madam and I react to funny videos that you guys send in, we could do it entirely, like a separate segment of the show. I could show you guys Astral Ascent. That's a game that Madam and I have been playing. We always like showing you the games that we've been playing, and that's been a fun one. So we could turn it into a double header, which you'll get a stream that's then twice as long as we typically plan on doing. So instead of 2 hours, we go for 3 or 4 hours. But we'd have to hit stretch for us to do that, which means you guys would need to really, really buckle down and go crazy. It's becoming depressing. This is kind of becoming the depressing news channel, man. Yeah, it is. With your 4-day-old account, I bet you said that in good faith, and I bet you were planning on being a contributor to this community here. Since I can control the news. I can control Sony ending physical and studios getting closed and lay off. You know what I mean? I can do that. Is that stream scheduled so I can redirect to it? No, they hit the goal, and I'll do all that later, Ginger, because Madam and I won't go live until like 8 or 8:30 tonight. Behold him, the one who controls the news. Yeah, listen, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. You know what I mean? The 4-day-old alt account coward probably in here trying to get clips for somebody else's content because his life's empty, vapid, and pathetic. Like your observation is one that we're all well aware of. We went from showcases and being excited to Destiny's in jeopardy, Bungie's in jeopardy, Xbox is in jeopardy. They're ending physical. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster and it kind of sucks. But what am I going to do? What do you want to come to my channel and like plug my ears and be like everything's great, la la la? Like no, we got out of showcase season and everything sucks. And then everything's also great because next week is Doom: The Dark Ages DLC, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake, Resync. Sloth Cat Gaming. Did you see there's class action lawsuits against Sony because of the digital news? Those I think were already in place. They were already being sued for different things. I think they're going to get around some of at least the one lawsuit, because they did say in their blog that you're going to be able to buy the digital from stores. So I think the one class action lawsuit is literally going to be, oh no, yeah, they're going to start selling digital in stores, because that's what the one was alleging. Like they won't let you buy digital versions of games from other storefronts. Can you tell us that the Legend of Spyro trilogy is getting remastered? I want some good news, and since you control the news, it'll become real. Oh man. The DLC will come on a disc, right? The Doom: The Dark Ages DLC? I don't know if they've said anything about doing a physical release. I don't think they typically do physical releases for DLC. That's not normal. Most DLC is called DLC because it's content that you download. Oh, I think maybe you're making a joke. Glassdoor Gamer with a $2 super chat. Did you see Valve's price fixing lawsuit? Nasty. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of these studios are going to get looked into. You know, the memory providers are getting looked into and maybe even sued for price fixing. Yeah. There's there's some potential reckonings coming, because there's probably been some shenanigans going on, especially with the memory providers. DLC physical, haven't seen that since like 2008. Make gaming great again. Stop. Yoshida said the Steam Machine plays like a PS4. Yeah, it ain't looking good for Steam Machine. We're seeing reports of people getting the red line of death. Now, sometimes that gets overstated, like one person has a failed device. I don't know what the fail rates are, but there aren't that many in circulation right now, right? Just review devices. Everyone forgets that the refund policy on Steam only exists because they were sued. I've never heard that before. What are you talking about? They got sued and that's why there's a refund policy? Hang on, I need to set up redirect of this stream. I've never heard that before. No regular people have them. Perfect Image says, why is Nib on X saying Sony is misleading? I think people are taking issue with the fact that Sony has said they're following market trends, and guys like Nib and others are looking at the breakdown of sales between physical and digital, and they're claiming that the market trend line is a misrepresentation. And I totally understand where they're coming from, but I think we have to look at the entire picture, and I think that's what Sony is doing. I don't think Sony is saying, oh yeah, 1 quarter is why we're doing this. I think they're saying there's another graph that they're looking at. We talked about this earlier. Raw materials, production costs, and shipping costs are like going up like a rocket. And then they're also tracking physical sales, and physical sales have been on a decline. Okay? Now, here's what people are doing. I think people are interpreting what Sony said as, oh, most people are buying digital now, and because most people are buying digital, we're going away from physical. There has been a slow decline in physical. There has been a measured increase in digital, and now that stat is crashing on the rocks of raw material shipping and production costs and hardware costs going up. And less people are making Blu-ray players, less people are making the parts, less people are, able to make the discs. And so for them to shoulder all of that, it's not in the cards. That's where they are. I mean, and again, I think people are looking into what they said about like following the market trend, and it's like that is a trend. It's not a false thing to say that that's a trend. That digital's going up, physical's going down. While that's happening, while that's actively happening, they're also having to pay more to make the physical. Sony forgot how smart and savvy their fan base is. It's the reason we chose PlayStation in the first place. They're about to find out the hard way. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll get through it unscathed. Like, the PR has been pretty bad, but the gaming world's pretty big. And I think the average consumer will just... They probably have a lot of internal reports that they've looked at. And... like, I just saw, Nick is responding to Porter Rock on Twitter, and he says, it better sell like dog crap or people will have some explaining to do. I think PlayStation probably internally looked at the number of digital-only consoles that they sold versus physical. They probably started tracking, this is probably the most damning thing that they tracked. People that bought physical disc drive PlayStations but then started buying digital instead. Chris String reported that a fourth of 007 in the UK were physical. Pretty sure he said 007 sold 1 million copies. A fourth isn't a small number. But again, you're not. I don't know if you're hearing what I'm saying. I think you're hearing it, and you're hearing it differently. Like, I didn't say it was a small number. I said it's in decline. It doesn't show signs of not slow. It doesn't show signs of increase. It shows signs of decline. You have to look at the entire picture. Physical is declining. Customers are buying it less. Digital is increasing. Your margins on digital are way better. Your margins on physical are getting worse. It's a compounding effect when when less people are buying physical and the cost to make it is going up, and the cost going up shows no sign of slowing down. I was writing that comment while you were saying that. No, you're fine, Bartholomew. A lot of people take that. They're like, that, but that's not a small number. That's a lot of people. And PlayStation's like, yeah. And we're willing to bet that a good percentage of those people will switch to digital, and the percentage that don't, and the percentage that gets mad is negligible, is something we can weather. Look, think of it from this perspective. PlayStation's not stupid. They know for a fact that there are people that will be angry, boycott, and not buy games because of this. They're willing to take that loss more than they're willing to take the loss that's coming if they keep spending and spending and spending. The rising cost on the physical is going to create losses for them. They're more willing to take the loss of consumer because they're weighing it, and they're saying, yeah, we're willing to lose you buying games more than we're willing to continue to pay for all of this. Blaze says, read my super chat. I don't. What are you talking about? I don't have a super chat from you. Did it glitch? Let me refresh. Homie, I don't have a super chat from you. What are you talking about? I'm scrolling all the way back through the stream. Did you do it earlier and did I miss it or something? Is something... Oh, you did. You did a $2 super chat. What the frick? I don't see it on my fan funding. It completely glitched out. I'm sorry about that. That is very weird. What about specifically a pre-order that is disc? Thank you for the $2. I don't understand your question. What do you mean a pre-order that is disc? Madden says, by the time the PlayStation 6 comes out, it'll be much smaller. No disrespect, but you couldn't pay me to use a disc in 2026. I literally rebought all my PS4 favorites, so I no longer needed the discs. It was only a few games, but I still did it. I'm aware they did analysis, and this move makes a lot of sense given current market conditions, but it's still a bet. We have no clue how the market will adjust to this. Well, you're not wrong. But the market is definitely showing a willingness to switch to digital. It is. I mean, think about... Here's another thing to think about. And boy, oh boy, is this going to hurt your feelings. There's been a lot of dialogue about getting new customers. There's been a lot of dialogue about, consoles plateauing. And something that I always tried to bring up and something that I always tried to say was PlayStation's looking to grow and get new users in China. And the Chinese market is like 95% PC. So you have to think about the fact that as they try to break into that market, they're making a change to digital only that market won't even bristle at. They're already accustomed to digital only. They're already accustomed to it. So, they're willing to maybe lose physical only folks in Europe, right? Physical only folks in the UK. They're willing to lose you because they're potentially just going to replace you with a Chinese consumer or a Japanese consumer with a handheld. Isn't China also hugely on mobile? Yeah. So there's the handheld that could do well in China also. Gaming on the go. So again, They know this has the potential to lose them customers, but they're also going into markets where this will not be a problem at all. Digital only won't be a problem for a handheld in Japan or China. Digital only will not be a problem for a PlayStation 6 in China. It won't be. It won't be a problem at all. These markets won't blink, and they're enormous. China's enormous. Japan's market is not nearly as large, but stores selling games are closing in Europe. Oh yeah, it'll have a huge effect on that market. Why don't you think they didn't decide to do a special pre-order that is a disc being pre-order guaranteed that it's sold? Okay, so Blaze, here's the problem with that. They still have to make them and house them, and if they don't sell enough of them, then it's just sitting there. So what you would be asking for is physical editions made to order, which would be insanely expensive. Insanely expensive. If you go to any shop that does anything with printing, t-shirt printing, billboard printing, anything like that, they do something called batch printing to save money. So they'll do your shirts along a bunch of other shirts, right? Or they'll do your billboard and your postcards along with a bunch of others. They're batch printing because it saves them money. If you went to a print shop and said, so I'm only going to need 3 postcards, and then next week I might come back and need 2 postcards. You know what they would do? They would charge you a lot for that. Your per postcard cost would be ridiculous because that's not conducive to how they're doing business. They're going to have to charge you in accordance to that. So making discs to order would be ridiculously expensive. They do batches, big batches, all at once, and then they have to sit somewhere. So even though the pre-order would be a guaranteed purchase, you would still run the risk of spending all that money to make a bunch of discs that then just sit there in a warehouse. Backwards compatibility died. Why did it die? I don't think going forward backwards compatibility is a concern, and I know they're actively working on trying to make the PlayStation 3 games that aren't backwards compat. But like PS4, PS5 going forward, there should be no issues with those games being back compat digitally. Something that could help with the transition would be for Sony to introduce a policy allowing players to register their physical copies in exchange for digital license. Xbox is looking into that, allegedly. I would really also like to see PlayStation do it. I would also really like to see PlayStation speak to what is somebody supposed to do with their physical library. Right? What are you supposed to do with your physical library? Are you going to be able to use the discs going forward? Will you be able to use these external disk drives that you bought for your PS5 or your Pro? Will you be able to use those external drives on the PlayStation 6? It's not the consumer's fault that the game wasn't profitable. Like if GTA 6 physical, that would be sold out, but we wouldn't know. I didn't say it was the consumer's fault. I said that they'd have to sit there with them in a warehouse, which means they would then be shouldering the cost. Like, the company isn't going to shoulder cost that they can't then make profit off of. Like, they'll shoulder cost if they can make profit off of it. They're not just going to sit there and be like, no, that's fine. We'll make a bunch of discs. We'll only sell them through pre-orders, or what you're basically saying is only through the PlayStation Direct website. But then, if not enough of the copies sell or whatever, they're just going to sit there. And then they're actively losing money. Even if you're digital, this is your fight too. You need digital protections. That's where I think we're better off uniting as gamers, is saying, hey, we all should unite and say we need to be properly protected. We've got at least one major person in government, I forget where he is, he's drawing attention to this. Request community note. People out here trying to claim that stupid dislike extension doesn't inflate numbers, and it does. Europe has some Digital Fairness Act coming out. I don't know if there'll be things like that are useful, just like on YouTube. Yeah, the extension is it always heavily inflates it. I literally use the extension and it's not accurate at all. Like here, I'll show you. The extension's garbage, bro. Like I know like the haters out here love the extension, like they absolutely love it. But it's a literal lie. Literally, it lies to you. How do you see? Where's the like dislike statistic? I never know where to go for this. See more. Hang on. Since published 302 to 127. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm using the extension, right? And God of War Lao Fei, we know everybody like hates it, thinks it's woke. You know, the grifters lie about it, misrepresent it, use bad photoshopped images. Okay, and then they'll go to trailers, or they'd go to my video and they'd be like, "Look, he got ratioed 390 to 302." Here are my actual live stats right now. It's 302 to 127. Like, it is ridiculously inflated. Like 127 and 390, they're not even close. It's not even close. Like, even if it doubled it, it would be 254. Like 127 doubled is 254. It's more than doubling the actual dislike count. So, a lot of the guys that'll run to these trailers and they're like, "Oh, the trailer's getting cooked, the trailer's getting smoked." You're probably looking at a dislike number that has been doubled or tripled of the actual number. So when you go to like God of War Lao Fei trailers and it has almost the same number of dislikes as likes, that trailer's doing great, because you have to cut that dislike number, like you have to cut 2/3 of it to even get an accurate assessment. 2/3 of it aren't even, it's not even real. It's total mirage. Like the dislike extension is literally, it's literally an AI girlfriend. It's a fake reality to make somebody feel good about themselves. That's all it is. Every video I've ever checked where like I go and look and I'm like, "Oh wow, it looks like I'm getting cooked on the dislikes," and I go and look at the actual stats, it's doubling and sometimes almost tripling the dislikes. The extension is making it look like it's like double or triple. Birdman's got a whole video about it. Birdman's the reason I looked into it. I literally looked into it because I knew it wasn't right. Like I knew people would be like, "You're getting cooked in the dislikes," and then I'd go and look and I'm like, I have like a 75% like ratio or like an 80% like ratio. What do you mean I'm getting cooked? And then I went and looked and I'm like, oh my gosh, it does look like I'm getting cooked because the extension is a lie. Why is it off so much? It's an estimate based off of people using the extension. So what do you think it's doing? People using the extension are more likely to be the ones that are brigading and disliking videos, and then they use the extension to be like, ooh, where's the dislike count? So the number of people with the extension disliking Lao Fei videos, and then it makes a prediction off of that, the number of people. So if 50 people, 100 people watched my video using that extension, they're all disliking my video. It's guessing, it's estimating based off those people where the dislikes actually are. It's literally the stupidest thing ever. It's not like it's using an API to read the dislike count so that you can see it. It's literally an estimate based off of people using the extension. So, yeah. So that's why the people that are going to go, right now, real quick before we go to Ginger's show, we got a minute. Let me just show you. God of War Laofe trailer. So if you go to the God of War Laofe trailer, look. These homies are getting bodied. They are getting absolutely bodied. So what you need to do, this 239 to 456, they're losing way worse than they think they are. So you have to take that 239. I'm going to multiply it by, let's see, 0.3. It's actually probably about a 71,000. They're getting destroyed in the like ratio. Just absolutely decimated. 456,000 to probably the real number is more like a 70,000. Like a 70. Brother, if you take 71, 46, I did that wrong. That's a 456 to 71 ratio. .456 to 71 ratio is an 86.5% likes to 13.5% dislikes. They are getting destroyed. And they think that they're out here winning and yay. No, you're getting demolished. But the dislike extension makes them think that they're winning. It's embarrassing. All right. So there's a link in chat for people that are wanting to come to Ginger's show, and then we're going to raid Ginger Prime TV. Invalid username. Oh, that's right. We can't use the ad. Ginger Prime TV. We're going to raid on Twitch, and we're going to redirect on YouTube. Use the link in chat or ride the raid or the redirect. I'll see you guys over there for the gaming roundtable. And then I'll see you guys tonight for the stream with Madam. Don't forget, you guys unlocked it.